Yeah. For that, this is cool though, because like this just opened up a whole different door for us. Like anybody can potentially bring a video, we'll check it out, and be like, oh yeah, you know what? We should
Yeah, he's
commentate
gonna
on it.
break it down. Now he's gonna break down Mecca because you know what it is. If you notice, what he's saying is these Muslims are replicating us.
Yeah. That's what I
They
got.
have their own Jesus, their fake God, and their fake location. Like we got Jerusalem, they got Mecca. He's gonna tell you why. Watch, watch. He's gonna break it down
Well,
that this never existed.
that's what I was telling you.
Mecca is enormously important.
Okay.
Remember, Islam is dependent on.
Yeah, right here. Let me move my screen here. I'm doing a little commentator window right here. So yeah, because this one's a good one to talk about. All right. So basically, so far, what we got, Sister Tisha, is he pretty much said that when we have our Bible, right, the New Testament, he said that it pretty much got written in about within 60 years after Jesus Christ passed away, resurrected, in other words. But he's saying that it was pretty quick because it was right after he resurrected. Within 60 years, you have the book of Acts, Luke, Matthew, Mark. So it was within such a short time period. So the information is reliable because people were still alive who witnessed Jesus. But what he's saying is that with Islam, when you investigate it, it took at least 200-300 years for any type of writing to come out. So he said, so the second point that he made, I'm just catching you up on a bullet point. The second point that he made.
That was good though. That was good. You got me thinking clearer too. That was good.
Okay. The second point that he made was that everybody who spoke about Jesus pretty much lived down the block from him. But when you look at people that talk about Muhammad, they were thousands of miles apart away. So he's like, so who are you going to trust more? People that were in close proximity and lived within a few years, or 200-300 years later, people living 1,200 miles away, or hundreds of miles away. So we're going to believe, obviously, people that are closer to you. It'd be like your third cousin talking to you about something in a family reunion. You're like, I haven't even seen this dude. He lives on the other side of the country. Same thing as what he's saying right here. So any questions or anything? Pause it. We're just having they call these live.
And another thing, a German, he said that a German, right, 125 years ago,
I'll play it,
grabbed a bunch of books from Muhammad, put it all together, and made one book. And that's what the Muslims call the Quran. And what he's saying is the Quran was originated by a German
man. That's crazy.
That's what he's saying. They don't
know that, bro. They don't know that.
I can believe from the same area because, I believe that part because everybody who met within each other had to be around the same area. Like, what's his name? Paul had to be around some area around the apostles. So, I believe that too. Not no far away. No, I don't think so. No.
I'm gonna grab this video though, and it's a good one to keep because so far he has his information.
Let him finish Mecca. The Mecca's not that long. Mecca is there, Jerusalem.
We're gonna let him do everything right now, right?
Well, let's see how it plays out. We just going by it plays out.
All right. Here we go, Sister Tisha. So right here, he has on the screen, Christianity came 15 to 16 years later, written by those from the same area. Islam, 203 years later, hundreds of miles too far north. Right? So let's keep going.
200 to 300 years. Which do you think is more authoritative? Look at the comparison, folks. Thank God we don't have that problem. As a comparison, if we were to depend on the sources for Jesus compared to what Muslims are dependent on for Muhammad, Jesus would not begin to appear until the 3rd century. How would we defend him? Yet no one's asking the same question of Islam until we are now going to do it tonight. So I'm going to make it one step further. Remember, I just got done telling you that Ibn Hisham wrote the Sirah of Jesus and he died in 833, and that's 200 years after the fact. You heard me say that, right? I lied. We have nothing from Ibn Hisham. Nothing has been written that was written by this man.
Hey, Brother Matt, is that you, my brother?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, we got a little treat for tonight. We're looking at Calvary Chapel, Chino Hills, and we're looking at an apologist who is investigating Islam so that we can see what's it about. And but he's an apologist, so he defends the faith, and we're just commentating on it. And if we have questions, we'll kind of summarize it. But he's pretty much like doing a very deep teaching of like the Islamic belief, grabbing all the information and pretty much like he pretty much did the study for everyone. So if you have any questions or anything, it's really informative. So like I'm gonna put the video. Huh?
I'm gonna comment in the chat room.
Oh yeah, that's fine. And I'm gonna put the link there because it's worth studying for. Because it's so far it's good. It's real good. Because he's showing how credible.
That's a good one, man. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah. I'm gonna chat too. I'll be on the side chatting.
All right. Here we go. We're gonna keep going. So right now, Brother Matt, he's at the part where he was like, well, you know how I told you that they wrote about Muhammad in the year 800? He was like, I lied. And he's saying right now that actually, because Muhammad like lived around 600 in the years 600, he's saying right now in this bullet point, this PowerPoint, he's saying there was nothing about Muhammad's life up until the year 1800. So it's like 1,000 years later. So he's about to tell us how that happened. Oh, he is, because you know Islam says that they gotta obey the scriptures too from the New Testament. We're just learning this because basically, Brother Matt, around where I live, they were trying to build a city because I live in Texas. I don't know if you heard about that, but people were not just Christians, but like the whole state was like, whoa, what's going on here? So, you know, my people perish for lack of knowledge, and we're just trying to get some knowledge of what's around us. Amen. Here we go.
In the 9th century. So where did this book, this is the book you all have to read. If any of you do any study on Muhammad, you have to read The Life of Muhammad written by Alfred Guillaume. This is the standard work that everybody has to go to. Where do you think it comes from? It doesn't come from Ibn Hisham. It comes from this gentleman right here, Heinrich Ferdinand Wüstenfeld, a German scholar, an Arabist living in the 1800s, who for 2 years between 1858 and 1860 went to 4 different German cities, this is in Europe, to different schools and certainly different libraries, and he just started putting together everything he could find on this man named Muhammad. Put it together in that 2-year period and published it in 1860. That is the biography that all of you have to read, because that was taken by Alfred Guillaume, then translated first into French and then into English. Everything we know about Muhammad comes from that German scholar, and it's only 160 years old.
They don't know that.
Did you hear that? So everything that we know, right, about Muhammad, y'all can stay unmuted. We're just gonna have dialogue. This man just said anything that we truly know about him, who wrote about Muhammad's life, the story was written, number one, by a German. Number two, he went to different universities. He doesn't know him like how the apostles knew Jesus. And then he said that it was over 1,000 years too late because nobody knew about this person named Muhammad until 1,000 years later. So the man who, down here, in case y'all can't see it, the man who Muslims are dependent on knowing about their own religion, about their own prophet, is this guy, what is it, over 1,000 years too late? 1,000 years later. So anything that they're reading about, they think it's recent. They probably don't know this, but
Even
he
than
did
what we know, even what we know,
yeah.
not just Muslims, even what we know about Muhammad comes from him.
There you go.
Because that's when it got. I'm not gonna say nothing. Go ahead.
All right, here we go.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And if y'all got questions, put it in the chat or ask or be like, hey, can we jump in? But just jump in because this is important. This is in our nation right now. We got to see what we're dealing with a little bit or just have a little bit of knowledge in it.
The man who Muslims are dependent on to know who their prophet is or what he did is an elderly German linguist who wrote Muhammad's story 160 years ago, thus over 1,000 years too late. Can you imagine how they're going to defend this? How, if there's any Muslims here, how will you defend your prophet now? Looking how late everything is concerning what he did there in supposedly the 7th century. You can see then the dilemma for scholars today. Their conclusions are Islam as we know it did not exist in the 7th century, but evolved over a period of 200 to 300 years. The Quran probably was not revealed to one man in 22 years, like Muslims tell us, but likely evolved over a period of 50 to 100 years. The conclusion, the history of Islam, at least from the time of the Caliph Abdul Malik, 685 to 705 and before, is a later fabrication. A later fabrication. Now, if that were the case, the problem is, well, what are we going to do? How is it you can see what their concern is? They said, well, where do we need to go? Well, I would suggest let's go back to the 7th century. Since we can't trust the 9th and 10th century for what Muhammad was doing or what the Quran was in the 9th and 10th century, let's go back to the century Muhammad lived. Let's go back to the century if Mecca existed, and let's go back to the century that book was written. So let's start with Mecca. Why do I want to start with Mecca? You'll see why. Mecca is enormously important. Remember, Islam is dependent on 3 legs. You take out one of the legs, the other 2 collapse. So if you start with the book.
I like how he says that. So this is like a bullet point. So Islam, they need to focus on the book, the man, and then the place. Right?
The man and
So that's good what you're doing, Flo. Let's break it down to us too when you have to.
Yeah. I'm just doing it because we're kind of bullet pointing it. So in the beginning, he says the way that he's investigating, right? Because we must test the spirits to see if they're from God. That's what he's doing. He's actually looking at this because for those of you that don't know, I'm not going to say obviously, just in case y'all don't know anything about it. In a nutshell, Muhammad is pretty much claiming that he's the last prophet from God and it's not Jesus. So he's saying that he has a true revelation. So that true revelation comes in the form of a book, and it was the man Muhammad and this important place, Mecca, that we're about to find out why it's so important. Like, you're like, what's a big deal about the place, Mecca? Well, we're about to find out, because for us, the book is the Bible, not the Quran. For us, it's the man would be Jesus Christ, not Muhammad. But then the place for us, I mean, it's more like an event for us. It's the crucifixion, you know?
Yeah, no, us is us. For us, our leg is the other leg is Jerusalem.
You can say that. Yeah. Okay. Amen.
Yeah, if you take out Jerusalem, it's like you take out Christianity. If you take out Jesus, yeah. But he's breaking it down. Yeah. In other words, what he's saying, Muhammad never existed.
Right.
That's what he's trying to tell you. Go ahead. Oh, it's serious.
He's about to. Yeah, Sister Tisha, because basically, if Muhammad existed, we're in the year 2025. Earlier in the video, a lot of people missed it. But earlier in the video, and I'm gonna post the link for the video so that, because this is a good note, like this is really important information.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of existed around the years 600 to like 700, around that timeline. So it's been hundreds of years, over 1,000 years, Muhammad. So a lot of Muslims are becoming Christians in Iran and other countries. So we have to reach out to these guys with love. There are
so regarding
yes.
So regarding these legs, right? Regarding these legs, right? Quran, Muslim, and Mecca. He already broke down. He already broke down Muhammad. So we get all our information from our German.
Right.
Let's scratch.
Yeah,
Let's scratch that out the list now. So
I would
Muhammad
say the
comes from a
book.
yeah. All his information comes from from a German that
Right.
went out, gathered all these books together, compiled them,
Mhm.
compressed them, and they call it the Quran.
Yeah.
Well, the life of Muhammad.
Yep.
1,000 something years later.
Yep.
Okay, so we got that scratched out. Now he's gonna tell us he's gonna break down Mecca, and it's gonna conflict with Muhammad. Watch, he's
All
nice.
right. All right. Let's do it. Let's do it. Here, hold on. I want to find that place. Let me see if I can find. Okay, so I'm at 1722. I'm just gonna go back to this timeline that he had. Okay, real quick. So 1722. All right, 1722. Look. So right here, he says he has a timeline because he's keeping records, right? And he's saying that Muhammad is born in 570, and then the Quran is first revealed in the year 610. Again, we're in 2025. So if Muhammad lived, Sister Tisha, he would have been around 570. But that's what he's saying, that the first person that wrote about him didn't write about him until the year 1800, going to a library, grabbing the information, and then started talking about him. So let me go back to 1722 right here real quick.
Well, how did they know?
Exactly. That's what he's saying. How is it reliable? That's what he's yeah, exactly. That's what he's saying. See, he's not being disrespectful. He's just investigating. He's just grabbing the facts. He's like, okay, let's look at all the information. Because he's grabbing the information and he's doing what we would call, he's doing a truth investigation, a factual investigation. See, you can do that with the Bible and it would be more accurate.
Yeah.
The Bible, you look at the history of the Bible and you're going to be on point with the Bible. The Bible has been tested for what it claims. And in the history of the Bible, it's consistent. But here, he's kind of showing how it's not consistent. So he's like the credibility, like it's not credible. You know, we should be like Elijah and share gospel with love and see who real Jesus is. Also, anyone coming to the U.S. should be Americans, not bringing their belief. Exactly. In America, we have freedom of speech with peace. In these Muslim countries, there is no. Exactly. That's why we have our brother Almas, you know, that comes and joins us, brother Matt, because Almas, he talks about. I'm gonna bring him one day and I'm gonna have an interview with Almas. I already told him, hey, we need to have an interview, and I think I'm gonna have it here within the next 7 days because it's gonna go perfectly well with this. Because he says Islam will take care of their own in Pakistan. This is in Pakistan. He's saying that they take care of themselves first, and they're putting anybody outside of Islam at the bottom of the barrel. And those are his words. And I'm gonna make sure that when I interview him, I let him say it. But he's living the real life of like past the lies, past the niceness. And like I said, I live in Texas, and one of the big deals that the reason that I'm interested in it is because I've always heard that, when you hear the little bit that you hear about Islam, you don't hear good things. I never hear good things about them. But then I found out that they're trying to build up, they were trying to build a community 15 minutes up the street from me. 15 minutes, but the Texas governor had to stop it. And he's like, no, that's not going to happen. And then I started looking more into it, brought it up with Brother Tony, and he shared this. But there's a lot more to talk about this because, I mean, is it important? Yes, because if it's a wolf in sheep's clothing, we need to be able to recognize, hey, we need to be careful what we say, how we act. We need to be, watch out for our walk as believers in Christ. So here we go.
For the three legs, if you start to confront Mecca, it starts to teeter. Once you shut down Mecca, everything else collapses. Because if there is no Mecca, then it doesn't matter who Muhammad is or what the name is or where you find him, he's not in Mecca, right? And if he's not in Mecca, then what Muhammad are we talking about? And it doesn't matter what Quran we're looking at, it's not from Mecca. If it's not from Mecca, bingo, then you got a different Quran.
So what he's saying is like, it would be comparison to like what Brother Tony said. If we're going to say that Jesus lived, but then say that he wasn't in Jerusalem, then that's not Jesus. That's what he's saying right now. He's saying if Mecca doesn't exist, then something
Yeah. If it
it wasn't
wasn't Jesus
Muhammad.
from Nazareth, he's saying if it's not Jesus from Nazareth, who's Jesus that we praying to?
Right. He didn't fulfill like prophecy or something, you know?
Yeah.
There you go.
If you take out Nazareth, you take out Jesus.
Yep. Out of Egypt I have called my son. It would be like comparison if Jesus didn't fulfill one of the prophecies. That's what
Wow.
he's saying. He's saying if Mecca doesn't exist because of the location, so I'm pretty sure he's about to talk about, and I don't know too much about Islam, so I'm actually like receiving the information. But what I'm getting right now is something important must have been talked about in Mecca, and I'm sure he's going to hit it here pretty soon. Here we go.
So let's shut down Mecca first.
There we go.
Let's begin with Mecca and let's see what we can find. Now, this is what they claim. According to the traditions, according to standard Islamic narrative, Mecca is where Adam and Eve are thrown down to. In chapter 7, verse 24 in the Quran, they're thrown out of the Garden of Eden down to Mecca.
Wow.
So obviously, this is the oldest city in history, right? You have to have people to have a city. And there's no one before Adam and Eve. So it's obviously the oldest city in history. It's where Abraham lived, according to chapter 21 of the Quran, verse 51 to 71. That's 1900 BC, therefore it had to have existed then. Sorry, let's go back. It's also the center of trade, north, south, east, and west. So it should be one of the best known and best documented places in history. Now, it's also, according to the Quran, the center of history. But here's the problem. Open up the Quran and see if you can find that word Mecca in it. You'll only find it one time, in chapter 48, verse 24. So it's not a book, it's not a place that's referred to very often, except for once. It's the place of the prophet. So let's look and see what it says about the place of the prophet in the Quran. Well, that's the mother of all settlements, according to chapter 6. It's where Adam and Eve were cast to, according to chapter 7. It's where Abraham lived, according to chapter 21. It's where Muhammad was born. And it was also where Mecca became the center of the Qibla, the direction of prayer, according to chapter 2. Now, the above imply people have lived there from the very beginning. Yet the only reference we can find is chapter 48, 24. If it's such an important place, why is there only one reference? If you look at the traditions, which are written much later, they're written in the 9th and 10th century, Mecca now does exist. That's not a problem. But take a look at where it places it. Notice what the traditions say. This place of the prophet, which is Mecca, is in a valley and has a parallel valley. It has a stream. It has ruins of a pillar of salt right outside it. It has fields and trees and grass and fruit and clay and loam and olive trees. Folks, that looks like it's pretty verdant.
So basically what we have, right? Mecca is pretty much when Adam and Eve, because we read this, right? If Adam and Eve were taken out, and we know in the Bible, he says that they were taken out east of the Garden of Eden. When they were taken out of there, what Islam says is, well, wherever they came out of and wherever they landed on earth, we'll say, that's what would be Mecca. So right now, that's what he was saying. And in the same place, Abraham, information. So he's saying that this place is fruitful. So they're making it sound like it's almost like paradise. That's why he's saying that it's in a valley. There's a stream, there's fields, there's trees, there's olive trees to make it sound symbolic, right? So we're going to keep going. I'm just stopping so that we can have time and slow him down and we can process the information. So let's keep going. Here we go.
Am I correct? Lots of vegetation, lots of water. Look at Mecca. There's no streams. There's none of these in Mecca, and there never has been. Historically, it's never had water. So obviously, whatever the traditions are referring to, it's not the Mecca we know today. When you look and unpack the Quran, you look at it, you will notice that an awful lot of it refers to geographical locations, 65 geographical references, but only 9 places are named. And over again, it refers to these people from Ad. 23 times these people from Ad, that's the biblical Uz. 24 times the people from Thamud, that would be the Nabateans. 7 times the people from Midian, they're the Midianites. But take a look on the map and see where they're all placed. They're up in Jordan. Mecca is at the very bottom of the map. Do you see it down there? Mm-hmm. There's 600 miles. If this prophet were having daily contact with these people from Ad Thamud in Midian, he'd have to have a helicopter or a jet to get up and back in 1,200 miles in just one day. They didn't have helicopters back then. Can you?
So did y'all get that? This is what he said. He said, if he spoke with everyone The distance is 1,200 miles. Just to give you, okay.
No, it's in the
12
Quran. That's what they reading. Like,
Yeah.
you're
But
reading of
this
a man that had a helicopter.
So he said 1,200 miles. Okay, just for reference, let's grab 1,200 miles divided by someone traveling at 60 miles per hour. It would take someone, they would have to drive 20 hours at 60 miles per hour. Walking, the average walking speed is about 3 miles per hour. That's fast too. So let's say 1,200 miles divided by the average walking speed of 3 miles per hour.
Yeah. And the Quran is saying that, yo, that they
400
hung
miles,
out. And the Quran is saying they hung out every other day. So,
no,
and went to
man,
the bar.
bruh. No
Possible.
way. It's impossible. Yeah, you have to teleport for real. That's 400 miles.
Yeah,
I
how
mean,
can Muhammad be
400
hanging out with these guys
hours.
every day?
Oh, he must have been on a fast horse, man. I'm not even trying to be funny, but
No,
not
he's
even,
not.
bro. The horse would pass away.
He's not trying to be funny. He's trying to actually
No.
he's talking to Muslims now.
Yeah.
A whole stadium full of them.
Well, that's why I like the video because he's not being disrespectful. He's just pointing out the facts.
Yeah, that's what I like. That's awesome. Go ahead. You got the mic.
You see a problem, folks. Obviously, whoever this prophet is who's having this relationship with all these people either had to live up there or this is nothing more than fiction. When we look at the prophets, prophet after prophet, Adam and Eve, Seth, Ishmael, Noah, Hud, Saleh, Queen of Sheba, Daniel, they were all buried in Mecca. Over almost 300 prophets are buried in Mecca. Now, when they're buried in a kneeling position so that they continue to be preserved in that kneeling position. If that were the case, then they still should be there today. Am I correct? So look at all the enormous amount of building that's going on around Mecca. That building that you see there, that tower, is the 4th highest building in the world. When you look at it, you will notice all the buildings around it. You have to have huge foundations in order to build something that high. As they're building these foundations, they should have come across one prophet. They haven't found one.
Boom. In a nutshell. Now we got 2 other problems that we didn't talk about, right? The first one was if this was the garden where Adam and Eve lived, there should be rivers as referenced in the Quran. But when you go out there and look for any signs of river life, there isn't any. You know, archaeologists or whatever, or geologists who study rocks, they're saying you can't find any signs that there's a river in the Mecca that they're saying. And then the second one he's saying here is if Adam and Eve, Seth, Ishmael, Noah, Hud, Saleh, Daniel, Queen of Sheba, if they were all buried here, and now you got all these buildings, you're pretty much saying at some point in time, you had to dig deep and you would have had to seen bones. And are you saying that you missed the bones, or did you not care that these individuals were buried there? And again, they were buried supposedly kneeling in Mecca. So he's saying, where's the bodies? If supposedly all of these people were buried there, where's the bodies? And he's saying, we haven't found a single one. And that, man, that looks pretty advanced. Like if you look at that, look at all them cranes in that city that's been built there. That's pretty advanced.
Suggesting that none of these prophets were buried there. If the above were true, this would mean that almost all of the Bible would have to be rewritten, as all of our prophets are 600 to 1,000 miles further south. So when is the first reference you can find to Mecca? It comes from the Apocalypse of Pseudo-Methodius Continuato Byzantia Arabica, 741 AD. Muhammad died in 632, if he even lived. That's over 100 years later that we get the first reference of him. What about the maps? Is Mecca on any map? Ptolemy is the best source to go to because he wrote the geography of Arabia, and there are those who've taken his geography and put maps together, like Reinhard Holle in 1400s. Notice when you look at the map, Mecca is not there. Here's another one put together by Laurent Fries in 1541. Notice Mecca is not there as well. Here's another one putting what Ptolemy said, put together in 1571, put together by Sebastian Munster. Same problem. Mecca just doesn't exist on any of these maps. Here's a 7th century map that has been redacted back to the 7th century. Did you see Mecca on it? I don't. Here's another one, redacted back to the 7th century. Can you find Mecca on any of these maps? Not one. So certainly Ptolemy didn't know about this place. When you look at the Qiblas, these are all the direction of prayers. Now remember, in chapter 2 of the Quran, all the Qiblas were directed to Mecca according to the Quran itself. Dan Gibson, who's done the best work on this, and he has gone through over 100 mosques, and he's gone to all their Qiblas, and notice what he has found. From the 7th century up until the 8th century, up until 706, every Qibla is facing Petra. Not one Qibla is facing Mecca. We're in the 8th century. We still can't find any mosque facing Mecca.
So what he's talking about here, in case y'all don't know, when a Muslim prays, they're supposed to pray in a certain direction, no matter where you're at in the world. You're supposed to be facing Mecca. But what he's saying is everyone's facing the wrong direction. I'm not trying to lie, but he's saying all of these individuals are not even looking at Mecca. They're looking at a place called Petra. So everyone's facing wrong.
It's not till 715 that the first mosque faced Mecca. What does that tell you? For 100 years, they never knew where Mecca was.
There you go.
And in fact, look where all these Qiblas are. They're right there in Medina, in China, in India, in Syria, in Egypt, in Israel, in Jordan, all over the world. And yet none of them seem to know where Mecca was. For over 100 years, they didn't know where Mecca was. Were they that inept? Or did Mecca even exist? Now we come to the trade route theory, and this is where Montgomery Watt has helped out the Muslims. He tried to help them out to show that you can find Mecca if you just look at the trade route. The trade went through Mecca. Now the trade used to go this way, right up through the Persian Gulf, to Basra, across Iraq, across Syria, over into Lebanon. But then you had the Sassanians who started warring against the Byzantines. And for 200 years, from the 5th, 6th, and 7th century, they shut down the Persian Gulf because of these wars. So the trade had to be rerouted. So what Montgomery Watt says is they went from India. And remember, all the trade's coming from China and India. They can't go north because of the Hindu Kush and the Himalayas. So they come across the Arabian Sea. They come to Aden there in the south. And they go zip 1,250 miles up to Gaza in the north. Now notice Mecca's halfway. And so he said Mecca controlled that trade, and that's how Mecca became important. How many of you believe that? No one's going to raise their hands? You know why? Because I'm going to shut it down. But I'm not going to shut it down. Dr. Patricia Corona shut this down. This woman, Danish, read and wrote 15 archaic languages. How many of you could read and write 15 archaic languages?
So in case this went over your head, right? What he's basically saying, see, today we have airplanes, right? We can go all over the world. So right now, because of international travel by airplane, we don't really have like a major airport that like everyone can be like, oh, I know exactly that one, because there's major airports across the world. But most of us will know like the New York airport. Some of you probably haven't heard of it, but it's the O'Hare Airport, if I remember correctly. What he's saying here is that back in those times, this route that you would have to take, and when you actually read the Bible in the book of Revelation, when you study the location of the churches, you're going to find out that like Ephesus was on a very big popular trade route. So you would see Ephesus because it was a place where there was like the New York City. New York City is known and popular because business flowed through there so heavily in our history when you study history. So that's what he's saying here. He's saying, well, if Mecca, he's saying that someone said, well, Mecca was should have been popular and it was a popular trade route. Well, he's like, all right, well, let's whip out the map. Well, Mecca is supposed to be where the X is at. So how can it be a popular route if the red arrows, which is the popular trade route, completely misses it? So that's what he's saying right now. So he's tackling that it's not New York City, pretty much like how Muslim believes it is. It's not that. So it doesn't exist in that form because it's not on the way and on the path to trade. And this means money. The world, we're not talking about, beliefs in religion right now. We're just talking about how money and trade works. And he said, even if you come at it that way, that you're saying it's a big city, it's not even along the path. So let's keep going.
Probably the greatest scholar of her day. She just died a number of years ago. She was my authority. She was the one that helped me when I started my doctorate there in United Kingdom. And she looked at this map and she saw two problems. Let's see if you see the same two problems. This is the first one. She said, hold on a minute. If you're taking all the goods off in Aden and you're going up along what we call the Western Plateau where the oases are, you'd have to go up to Taif. And then from Taif, you have to go down to Mecca, 3,000 feet. And then from Mecca, you've got to go back up to Yathrib. And then from Yathrib on up to Tabuk, Khaybar, and then on up to Gaza in the north. Do you see a detour there? Can you see the detour? Let me emphasize exactly why she's saying this. Let's look at this topographical map, and let's just put these cities that are on the trade route. There's Aden, there's Sana'a, there's Najran, there's Taif, there's Yathrib, Tabuk, Petra, and then on up to Gaza. You notice they're all on the Western Plateau. Are you seeing that?
Yeah.
Can you see it from this topographical map? So where's Mecca? Bingo, right there. 3,000 feet down from Taif. Let me give you another map. Here's another one, a topographical line map. There's Aden, there's Sana'a, there's Najran, there's Taif. Now you can see Yathrib, there's Tabuk, Petra, and Gaza. So where's Mecca? Bingo. Now can you see? It's way off the Western Plateau. It had no water. Why would you go from Taif down 3,000 feet to a city or a place that had no water and no food for your camels, and then come back up 3,000 feet to get up to Yathrib? So that was the first problem. But here's the second problem. She said, why in the world would they even get their material off in Aden and go 1,250 miles by land when they have a waterway on the left? Why wouldn't you just stay on ship? Even today, look how all our goods are sent all over the world. They're sent by ship, are they not? It's the cheapest way to send anything. And you've got the Red Sea there on the left. So why didn't they go on the Red Sea? Now, she's clever because she reads and writes 15 languages. She went back to all the trading documents from the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, all the way up to the 7th century, something no Muslim has ever done. And she wrote a book called Meccan Trade and the Rise of Islam in 1987 and got death threats because of what she found. This is what she found. She said, when you go and watch the trade, it comes across the Arabian Sea over to Aden. Yeah, it did stop in Aden. They would get provisions there, but it did stop there. They wouldn't take off any goods there. They would go up into the Red Sea. They would go to Agilis, and she found Agilis over and over again. And then from Agilis, went up the Red Sea, on up to Petra, and then from Petra to Gaza, and then from Gaza right across the Mediterranean world. That's what she found.
So Mecca is not the X. I'm going to correct that. He's saying Mecca's over here, but it's the same thing. He's saying they're completely bypassing it. Like they don't recognize Mecca as a major city as the Muslim community sounds like they make it sound like or the Islamic community, they make it sound like it's a major city. So she speaks 15 different languages. She looked at all the different routes and she has yet to find a mention of a Mecca in existence. Because supposedly
death
threater, yeah. Okay, I'm with it because I'm seeing this for the first time with y'all. So let's keep going.
But she didn't go far enough. That was in 1987. We have found something else. See, what she didn't realize is what part of the Red Sea and what side of the Red Sea did they go up. To do that, you need to look at topographical maps from space, and you need to see where the channels are. Do you see the dark blue line there, right in the middle of the Red Sea? There, I'm going to put a red line on it so you can see it even better. That's where the big ships go today. But back in the 7th century, they didn't have big ships. So where did they go? They went where the orange lines are, the golden lines. Those are the channels that the boats use. Notice they're not on the Arabian side, they're on the African side. Am I correct?
Yes.
So, unlike the East Arabian shore, which was arid and dry with no fresh water and thus few people, the West African shore had plenty of fresh water and had larger populations. What's more, the West Coast had easily accessible ports. We know their names. Here they are. The ports along them are Asab, Agilis, continue on, Suakin, Berenice, and Safaga. Look at the dates. They all predate Islam. Notice they're all one day's boat ride apart.
Oh, nice.
So they would go in every night to shelter. These have been around since the 3rd century BC. On the Red Sea side, I'm sorry, on the Arabian side of the
Oh,
Red
so he's
Sea,
saying-
the
he's
only
saying that
port that we know.
With their time.
What's that?
He's saying that the Quran is false of their time.
He's saying right now what he's saying is that the information, this is his angle right now. He's saying that we know that there are specific cities on the left side, and that Asab, Adulis, Suakin, Berenice, everything on the left side, which would be the west, they're one day's journey by ship, and they're recorded in 282 BC, 275 BC, 170 AD. Because what he's trying to prove right now is, did Mecca even exist? I think he's building up his case. And like I said, I haven't seen the video. I'm pretty sure what he's doing is he's trying to show you if Mecca existed, someone would have written about it, that a ship stopped there. And remember, Muhammad was what, 600 or 500? I think it was like around the year 500 something, 550 or 60. And let's keep going. So he's about to go. So he's saying that's the left side. Mecca's supposed to be on the right side. And he keeps saying it's dry over there. It's not supposed to be like this paradise sounding place. It's dry, is what he said.
Of is called Yanbu, which supported Yathrib. So what about Jeddah, which supports Mecca? Muslims have always asked me, well, then didn't Jeddah exist also?
See?
Dr. Joran Halting, who is the world authority on Jeddah, wrote his book on it. And if you look at his book, he says Jeddah did not exist until the 8th century AD.
There you go.
It was created because Mecca was created.
There you go.
Mecca had no water, therefore it needed provisions. That's why they created Jeddah. Therefore, since there was nothing, let's get rid of Jeddah and Mecca. Boom, they go off the screen. Without Jeddah, without Mecca, what happens to Islam? A big...
There you go. That's what he's saying. He's saying we have no record of a city called Mecca. And their backup city, well, maybe it's not Mecca. Maybe, maybe it was in Dallas, Texas. What about New York? If there's a New York, United States has got to exist. He was like, yeah, but United States didn't exist until hundreds of years later either. Or New York wasn't found out about until 100 years later. That's what he's saying right here. He's saying there is no history of any city in that area until 150 years later. So this city doesn't exist. Nobody knows about Mecca. And we know that because of the history of how travel was. And this is a leading expert. So this is deep. He says he's unable to hear me. I'm doing a sound check. Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah,
Okay.
and they went back to get the records, way back to the 1st century to get shipping records.
Shipping records.
This,
Hold on.
that's how fascinated this lady was. That was her goal. That was her call. But go ahead,
Yeah,
you got the mic.
Okay, amen. But y'all can hear me, right? Just making sure all of
Yeah,
y'all
I can hear you.
Sister Tisha or like anybody else?
Yep.
Yeah, I hear.
Okay, cool. All right. All right. If someone can talk to Jesus in the comments, because I don't think he can hear me. All right. So this is good because this is like a for anybody that just walked in again, what we're doing is this individual is investigating Islam. Some of you have heard this intro for the 3rd time, but it's okay. This is a apologist, a Christian apologist, Dr. Jay Smith. He has looked and investigated the history of Islam, and he's going to share facts, just facts and historical documentation to see the credibility and the authenticness if the Quran, Muhammad, and Mecca, which is what he's talking about right now, are reliable, are true, if they even existed, because this is what Islam is all about. This is what Muslims believe in. So he's sharing this information. And one of the latest things that we heard is that there was a female expert who found out some information that doesn't support Islam, and they gave her threats to end her life. And the reason this is important is because, again, I live in Texas, and there was a city that they were trying to build and create a Muslim community, and the Texas governor stopped it. But from what I hear, this is something that we need to keep an eye out for as believers in Christ, because of what we have heard our brothers from Pakistan share, that it's tough times for them. So we're just getting prepared and having some knowledge. What I love about the video, and this is my last comment, I'll hit play, is that this individual, he is not here to, we'll say, make fun of or be disrespectful. He's being very factual and just bringing historical documents that should exist to the table. And I'm watching this video for the first time. So if I misspeak something and it gets clarified later in the video, just know that it's my thoughts going forward. So here we go.
And if you just got here, he's breaking down Mecca. Mecca to Muslims is like Jerusalem to us. Muhammad to Muslims is like Jesus to us. So he already broke down Muhammad. He has proof that everything that we know and Muslims know about Muhammad was written 129 years ago by a scholar that went around to all these universities, grabbed everything about Muslims and compiled it into one book that now the Muslims call the Quran. That's how the Quran. So the Quran is actually 100 and something years old. Imagine if our Bible was 2,000 years old. But he broke that down. Now he's breaking Mecca. All right, you got the mic.
Yeah, he was saying that the Bible was pretty much written about 30 to 60 years after Christ. So the information is real reliable. There's a lot of facts. So I put the YouTube link at the bottom for anybody that wants it.
No. What I'm saying is, if you take the Bible and the Quran is officially 129 years.
Right.
That's what the Muslims believe.
Yes.
That Quran, but they won't. You know, the Quran, the Muslims won't accept that.
Why did it take him so long to even write it?
That's what he's kind of tackling. He's saying that it looks like it's fabricated.
That's what I'm thinking, because I had a friend that was Muslim, and they religiously once a year I'm not sure, but do they go to Mecca?
Mecca, yeah.
Yeah, and they pilgrimage. It's a big major thing for them.
Yeah. You have to go at least once in your lifetime.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've known people that it's really important for them.
Yes.
And he's saying
a major event in their life.
And this guy's saying and proving that Mecca never existed.
Well, I have to say one thing, though. I have to say the Muslims that I have known, very good people. Very good.
Yeah, we're talking about the
religion, right?
Yes, we're talking about what he's talking about is he's investigating the origin of it.
Yeah, the proof. Investigation.
Proof, the evidence, and he's investigating it.
Wow, thank you, Pastor Flores, because I had no clue. Wow, this is really informative. Thank you.
Yeah, it is. And I want to give props to Brother Tony for sharing this. And it's because for me, I'm all about being respectful, showing love in Christ, but at the same time, I'm not going to go out there and pet a lion thinking it's not going to bite me.
Yeah.
And I believe that a lot of my belief and opinion is that there's a lot of people out there that don't realize this from what we've heard, from what I've heard, not just our brother Almas, but from other people. There's different intentions potentially, not in everyone, but in some. It just depends how devoted and into it they are. But it's in our nation. It's very prevalent, and it could be or could not be growing. But again, it's worth knowing what's around us. See, I know about Catholicism like many of you do, but Islam, I think we need to have more information from others.
Yes.
And learn some. So yeah, thanks to Brother Tony for bringing it to the table. And hopefully in the future, we could continue doing kind of like discussions, and so that we can learn with them, because I'm not an expert or a historical document expert or anything like that. So we pray for the Lord, and we thank the Lord for people like them. We thank our Lord Jesus Christ for Christian brothers like this.
Yes.
Let's go. Let's see what he says about Mecca.
Mhm.
Their holy land.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Their
Yeah,
holy
me too.
land.
And like I said, the link is in the chat. So if y'all wanna keep it, I highly recommend it because these are facts.
Amen.
Well, then, what about the civilizations? Maybe they knew about this place. So let's ask, and Dr. Patricia Conan went around, she asked this question. If Mecca was the oldest city in the history of mankind, someone somewhere should have heard of it. So she went and she looked at all the empires to see what they said. Now remember, she reads and writes 15 languages. So she read everything in its original tongue. The Assyrians, she found nothing about Mecca. The Babylonians, they knew nothing about Mecca. The Roman Empire knew nothing about Mecca. Neither did the Persians. What about those closer to it? Much closer, like the Nabateans. They knew nothing about Mecca. And the Sabaeans knew nothing, and neither did the Himyarites, or the Azdis, or the Kindas, or the Kedarites. None of these people, including the Nubians right across the Red Sea, none of them had heard of Mecca. Not one word. All the way up until the 8th century. What does that say about Mecca to you folks?
So it leaves that question. What does that say about Mecca to you folks? I'm just gonna ask what he asked. So he's pretty much saying, if this is the oldest city, number one, how do you know that it's the oldest city? Because he's saying, even if let's say it wasn't the religion of Islam, this is the thought process. Even if there wasn't a religion of Islam, let's just talk about the location and the name of that location. Nobody has talked about this location if it's supposed to be the oldest city. Now remember what he said earlier. He said that people of the Bible were buried there, right? And kneeling positions. Yet, don't you think that would be a place that you would kind of keep sacred, we'll call it, protected? He's saying no one is talking about this place, and it's supposed to be the oldest city. It would be worth taking if it was one of these empires. There's so many questions, so many thoughts, but let's keep going.
If it is the center of history, if it's the oldest city in history, if it's where Abraham lived, if all the trade now north, south, east, west is going through it, why had no one heard of it?
Exactly.
Well, what about the other cities that were in that area? Let's ask and see if they are, because there are a lot of cities in that area, or towns, not really cities, they're hamlets.
Wow.
And let's see if history knows about them. Let's look at Najran, which is about 400 miles south of it. It's a small little town. But Strabo talks about it, Pliny the Elder talks about it, Ptolemy talks about it, Aretas, all of it, it's well known. What about Sana and Taif and Yathrib and Khaybar that are right near Mecca? Yes, they're well known. The Greeks talk about it from the 6th century BC, they refer to these places. Mamre, Pliny has a whole book written on the history of it. Petra, Zukowski has written an entire book on the history of Petra. Maghrib, where Muhammad Mariktan has written another history on it. Why are all these insignificant towns referred to, but not one of them referred to Mecca?
Exactly.
I'll tell you why. To know why, take a look at a map and you'll see why. Look at those 4 maps. Those are 4 topographical pictures of Arabia. And what do you notice about Mecca and Medina? Well, the central part where Medina and Mecca are is a desert, right? Where there's the desert, there's no water. Where there's no water, there's no food. Where there's no food, there's no people. Where there's no people, there's no towns. Where there's no towns, there's no cities. Where there's no cities, there's no civilization. Where there is no civilization, there is no history. It's as
Bro, he just destroyed them. Did y'all see what happened? He just literally said, this place is not what they said was a place with flowing with water and it's fruitful. He's saying, if you actually go and take a look, there's a desert. Now, if you know, see, today, we don't know too much about this today because most of us live in America. And unless if you live like I grew up for very little of my life in Mexico, but a very poor, uncivilized, it was civilized, but it was like third world country where your floor is dirt, where your walls are aluminum. There's no roads. It's all woods, and there's a lot of woods. And we lived next to a river. And the way that we would survive, and they still survive like that, it's still like this till today. It's called Chiapas in Mexico. you have to fish in the river to get food. So in ancient times, see, it's not like Las Vegas today. Las Vegas today shouldn't even exist, but because we have these long pipes and channels that give it water, they're able to survive in the middle of the desert. But here in this time, he's saying that there's no civilization, because why would you want to live there if there's no water nearby? And if there's no water, how can you have cattle? And he just goes down here. So why would people want to move there? Well, there's no towns if people aren't there. And then if people aren't there, there's no cities. So how can you have a culture? How can you have people that are civilized if it's supposed to be this fruitful, amazing place, and it's supposed to be the oldest city in the world? So he's shutting down Mecca. Like, he's saying Mecca is nothing. If you would have gotten,
He's saying this is what your Quran is saying, but the proof is not in the pudding.
say that again.
He's saying that these Muslims are delusionized. These Muslims believe that there were people actually living there at that time in the desert. Yeah. And he's like, that's impossible. We check the records. But the Quran's saying, I'm not saying much.
No, that's good. No, I want different voices. Let's keep going.
No, I'm gonna let him do it. No, he's in a good part right now. He's breaking it down.
All right. So he's saying because there's no civilization nor empires, right? These major empires, and I know that this is a lot. That's why I'm breaking down bullet points. Because there's no big empire that talked about it, that raised flags. They talked about all these other little cities that would be less important, but you don't hear Mecca being talked about. So how do you know that it's the oldest city if there's no mention of it before Islam was found, before Muhammad was born? How come nobody heard about this?
Yeah, it's like he's saying there's no such thing as Lionheart, because I checked the Zoom records, and you guys are whenever, you know what I mean? It was like, okay, what you check? We checked the records, and you're not there.
If you go to court, you have to bring proof.
Exactly.
In order to win a case.
Yes.
There's
Where's
no
the
proof.
receipts?
Yeah. There's no pictures, no receipts, no proof, you lose.
Yeah.
You have to bring proof.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, he's breaking it down.
Mm-hmm. Now, again, he's talking about the city.
Yep.
All right, let's keep going.
Simple as that. How long did it take me to say that? 10 seconds. And you can do the same. You have to have water, folks. If there's no water, there's no history.
Exactly.
That's why it was called Patria Deserta by the Romans. It's always been a desert. That's why none of the prophets could have come there. Nobody has ever heard of it. Just like Mars, without water, there's no point even going there.
Oh.
But we have to go there. Let's go to the Hajj. Because the Hajj is where you need to find out. If the Hajj has been there from the very beginning, then it should be also archaic. It should be the center of history. Am I correct? When you go to the Hajj, and those of you who can't go...
Now he's going to hit the tradition. So you know how, Mama Lisa, you were saying that, like, they would go there to Mecca? This is why. And he's about to say, oh, so this is the origin of life. This is where it all happened. The oldest city is here because of this. He's saying, how do you don't have no information to know that. The only information that you know was after he claimed it, he probably walked around and be like, you know what? This is a good place to call this. Boom.
The beginning. Yep.
Yeah, but nobody knows. Yep. So he's about to go into this tradition or ritual that I've heard about too. But let's see what he says.
Because you're not Muslims, but you go and you circumambulate that square building called the Kaaba 7 times. Why do you circumambulate 7 times going counterclockwise? Good question. I'm going to tell you. To do that, you need to go to Petra. Petra also has a Kaaba that you circumambulate 7 times going counterclockwise. Why does it have a Kaaba? Well, you need to go to this city. Do you recognize it? Jerusalem. You've got to go back to Jerusalem that also have a Kaaba. Remember, Kaaba means square in Arabic. It also means square in Hebrew. And the Kaaba in Hebrew was the Holy of Holies. And the Jews would circumambulate it 7 times going counterclockwise because of Jericho. God
was
told them to
Jericho.
do it 7 times, going counterclockwise. They still did it as a pilgrimage to Jerusalem. Therefore, the Kaaba that was in Mecca comes from Jerusalem. It gets better than that. After they circumambulate 7.
He said that a little fast. He pretty much says that the reason that they go to Mecca and walk around it 7 times, he said they stole that idea from what happened in Jericho in Jerusalem, and they're trying to adopt that into their ways, their culture. That's what he just said.
7 times. They then run back and forth between Safa and Marwa, the 2 mountains that are there. Take a look. Do those look like mountains to you? They're only about 20 feet high. You can climb on them as kids. Those are not mountains. Those are rocks. They're called Marwa and Safa, and the Muslims run back and forth 7 times. Why? Because Hagar is in the desert. She's thrown out of Mecca by Abraham, who's living in Mecca. She runs out of water. She needs to find water for Ishmael. She runs back and forth 7 times between 2 mountains. Folks, those don't look like mountains to me. In fact, hold on a minute. They're only 100 feet away from the Kaaba, which is in the center of Mecca. If she's out in the desert, she can't find water, then what is she only doing 100 feet away? Why don't you just knock on any door and get some water from the neighbors? Can you see there's a problem here, folks? This is not the original Marwa and the original Safa. This is nothing more than a facsimile. This is nothing more than when you go to Las
I need a. Did y'all catch that? Because that kind of flew by my head a little bit. Did y'all understand that part? Or was it just because he's saying, I understand what he's saying. He's saying when Abraham, the story of Abraham and Sarah, but then later on, Hagar is told, hey,
Gotta leave.
get out of here. Leave.
You know, he's
right?
saying that there's a ritual they do right around these rocks
Right.
in that location, and it has to do with something that Hagar went through, that she went
What?
back and forth.
It's like a Moses, like she was looking for like water, right? I think. 'Cause I remember
Yeah.
hearing something about that, and she
It-
walked
it-
around it like 7 times. These rocks,
Right.
and in between, like a geyser busted open, and
Yes.
I know I remember hearing something about this.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like, so what let me run it one more time. Let me make sure I capture it. Let me see if if it'll make sense. Let me try one more time, y'all. My bad. Let me see.
Arabic, it also means square in Hebrew. And the Kaaba in Hebrew was the Holy of Holies. And the Jews would circumambulate it 7 times going counterclockwise because of Jericho. God told them to do it 7 times going counterclockwise. They still did it as a pilgrimage to Jerusalem. Therefore, the Kaaba that was in Mecca comes from Jerusalem. It gets better than that.
So they're trying to, so number one, the reason that they go around 7 times is because they think it's Holy of Holiest. So they kind of grabbed that concept of Holy of Holiest and then moved it to a place called Mecca, but nothing happened there. They just called it Mecca around the year 700s. Let's keep going. So here we go again. So here we have the story of Hagar being kicked out, we'll say. And there's going to be something with water. I kind of got that because she had to go back and forth 7 times to find water. But he's saying, okay, well, if this is the place where Abraham lived and she got kicked out, but the Bible makes it sound like, or the Quran maybe makes it sound like it was a long distance. He's saying the distance is not long enough. That's kind of what I got from it. First impression. Let me get a second impression.
After they circumambulate 7 times, they then run back and forth between Safa and Marwa, the 2 mountains that are there. Take a look. Do those look like mountains to you?
No, those are hills, if anything.
They're only about 20 feet high. You can climb on them as kids. Those are not mountains. Those are rocks. They're called Marwa and Safa, and the Muslims run back and forth 7 times. Why? Because Hagar is in the desert. She's thrown out of Mecca by Abraham, who's living in Mecca. She runs out of...
Oh yeah, that's right. Because we don't know where they're at. That's another thing. So they claim to know where Abraham was. And they're saying that he was in Mecca. See, that's not in the Bible. That's the Quran. That's their belief. They just brought this information and they said, oh no, Abraham came from Mecca, which is what we just saw the location. He's saying right now, well, if Abraham was in Mecca and she was thrown out into the wilderness, surely someone there would have had water. So this can't be the place because it's too close to Mecca. Watch this.
water. She needs to find water for Ishmael. She runs in back and forth 7 times between 2 mountains. Folks, those don't look like mountains to me. In fact, hold on a minute. They're only 100 feet away from the Kaaba, which is in the
See, from the Kaaba, which is supposed to be where he says it's only 100 feet away. Like 100 feet is like a football field. So it's kind of saying like, all right, Hagar, you got to leave over here. And then you just see her stand at the corner. You're like, yeah, you're good there. That's not the wilderness. That's what he said right now. He says that this place from the place, it's only 100 feet away. When Hagar was told to go, it was miles, not 100 feet. Not half a football field, we'll say. He's saying, yo, these 2 places, if these are the 2 mountains, it conflicts with the story that Hagar was cast out and she had to run back and forth. It's too close in location proximity. She's not down the street. She was kicked out of town. That's what he's saying.
And she's with a baby.
Yeah, for Ishmael. Well, he was a little bit older when he would have gotten kicked out, but he would have still been around 10 years old, we'll say. And he's trying to get water, and because she has to get water. Because remember, first came Ishmael, and then after a couple of years, then came Abraham's son, Isaac.
If she's out in the desert and she can't find water, then what is she only doing 100 feet away?
Yeah, that's what he's saying. I caught it now. So how can she not find water yet being nearby, just 100 feet away from Abraham? And this is supposed to be the 2 mountains, because that's what they're saying. They're saying these are the 2 mountains where Hagar was running back and forth. This is why we do it. That's what they claim. He's saying, why are they 100 feet away? She's not kicked out. She's right down the street. She can ask a neighbor for water and she'll get water. Why is she having to run back and forth? So he's hitting one of their stories pretty bad.
She's down the block. What you talking about?
Yeah. She's my neighbor. She's my neighbor. The guy didn't say make her your neighbor. He said, get out. Be gone. Go out into the wilderness.
Why don't you just knock on any door and get some water from the neighbors?
See? Yeah. See? I got it.
Can you see there's a problem here, folks? This is not the original Marwa and the original Safa. This is nothing more than a facsimile. This is nothing more than when you go to Las Vegas, you'll see an Eiffel Tower there, right? That's not the original Eiffel Tower. You'll see a pyramid there. That's not the original pyramid.
Ooh.
They're nothing more than facsimiles. That's what you're looking at. So where is the original Marwa and Safa?
There you go.
It's not, though. Some people think it's in Petra. You need to go to Jerusalem.
Wow.
Go to Mount Moriah, where the Temple Mount is.
Yeah.
What is the name for Moriah in Arabic? Marwa. You go down to the Kidron Valley and go back up to Mount Scopus. That's what the pilgrims all did. And what is the name of Mount Scopus in Arabic? Safa. So the original Marwa, the original Safa are in Jerusalem.
Ooh.
God bless the Muslims. All they did was plagiarize.
Oh.
Everything is plagiarized in Islam.
Did y'all catch that? He's saying you're just copying and you copied it wrong. And then you said that we have a pretty mini,
That
fake
was true. They
Jerusalem.
copied it wrong. That's it.
They copied it wrong. They got a mini fake Jerusalem of 2 mountains that is actually in Jerusalem. And they said it's actually in Mecca. And then he showed photos of it. That's what they claim. And that's why he used that Eiffel Tower. He said, hey, I want to go see the Eiffel Tower. You're like, oh, you want to go see the Eiffel Tower? Yeah, I can't wait to go to France, babe. Oh, yeah, it's our honeymoon. All right, let's go. And then you take her to Las Vegas. She's like, wait a minute. That's the Eiffel Tower. I wanted to go to France. He's like, oh, no. This is the Eiffel Tower, though. You said the Eiffel Tower. You didn't say you wanted to go to France. You said you wanted to see the Eiffel Tower. This is a replica of the Eiffel Tower in France.
Good one.
That's what he's saying.
You didn't say you were going to go to
That's what he said, bro.
She
That's
was
what he's
saying, I didn't know I was in France. That's my point.
Yeah. So if I was,
Yeah. So
this is what
Muslim.
I would say. If I was a Muslim and I heard him speak, I'd be like, yo, why am I going to Mecca? If this is biblically right, I need to be going here, not that place, that location where Mecca's at. Because if I was a Muslim, I would feel uncomfortable. I'd be like, yo, what? What is he saying? No way. And you kind of have to you'd be like, is he true? Is he right? See, this is a good way for a Muslim to actually grab their book and put it through the test. That's why I've told you in the very beginning, as a believer of Jesus Christ, as someone who was like scientific minded, like logically speaking, I knew a way that I had to ask questions to see if it was real. He's doing the same thing, and he's saying, yo, the facts don't match up. What I've done with the Bible, I try to break the Bible. I've tried to find life. I can't find one.
Islam. When you look at the Hajj, you can see that the Kaaba is plagiarized. You can see that the Safa and Marwa are plagiarized. You can see that the Hill of Arafat, I don't have time to get into it, that's plagiarized. You can see the Jamarats where they throw 49 stones. Why 49? Because it's a multiplication of 7, which is the holy number in Judaism. They've just plagiarized from the Christians. You look at the Zamzam well, that is the same thing, the same word that is used for Mount.
So in a nutshell, he says they haven't only cheated. You know, when you're doing a test, for anybody who doesn't know what plagiarize is, it's like if you were given a test and you fill out the right answers, and then you look at somebody else's test and you copy their answers, that's plagiarism. You copy somebody else's work. That's what he's saying happened here. He's saying the Muslims looked over at the Christian Bible, at the Old Testament, and they copied some of the stuff down, but they never checked it to see if it was on point. Why? Because
and got away with it.
And got away with it. Yeah.
And took away. And yeah, that's why you got 100 billion Muslims right now due to this false information.
Yeah, exactly. Misinformation. Yep. Let's keep going.
The well there in
So out of that cheating of plagiarism, looking at somebody else's tests, answers, he's saying, if you look at all these different things, they cheated and grabbed this also. Many of the traditions were borrowed.
The Pool of Siloam in Jerusalem. And then we get to the Black Stone. Thank God this is not plagiarized. What in the world is the Black Stone doing there? On the eastern corner of the Kaaba. Every Muslim, as they circumambulate, they kiss the stone so that they get their sins forgiven. Who can forgive sins but God? This is idolatry, folks.
100%.
And it's at the very seat of Islam.
And
the very
black.
center of Islam is based on idolatry. If Muslims say God is one, then what's that stone doing there?
Yep.
That does not come from Jerusalem. Do you understand that? I'm not going to go into it because I see I'm running out of time. I need to keep going. Look and go up on Fander Films. We've got all of it up there. We're now unpacking all of this material so you can see it. So can you see? No one could find Mecca placed in the Quran. Crone pretty much debunked the trade route theory. Gibson debunked the Qiblas. Crone also debunked, she not only debunked that, but she also debunked the maps, and then we debunked the trade route going through the Red Sea, and then of course the 5 stages of the Hajj. Though Mecca has existed since Adam and Eve in Surah chapter 7 verse 24, there is no evidence of it anywhere until 741.
Boom. In a nutshell, if you didn't take anything else away, he just pretty much told you right here. A surah is part of their Quran, right? And out of their Quran, they claim this place has existed since Adam and Eve. And he's saying there's no evidence of it until after the prophet. It's like they had to force it to exist so that the prophet could be seen as legitimate. That's my opinion and observation. But what is true, what is factual is this place did not come into existence until after the prophet. Then you started hearing about it for the first time anywhere in the world, in any document, any empire. That's what he just said. And he's saying the way that I proved it was by these different people who are experts, by trade routes, by, if it was a place, it would have been mentioned in one of these, especially in money, economics, it would have been mentioned, but it wasn't. So that's just talking about Mecca, the place.
And everything we now find in Mecca, we could find previously in Petra, and now even earlier in Jerusalem. You ready for Muhammad?
So that was
What do we
Mecca.
know about Muhammad?
Now he's
Well,
going to go to Muhammad.
last and greatest prophet according to Islam, modeled Islam for the world, received the Quran, has a final revelation. Everything we know about him, we can find in the Sirah of Ibn Hisham, but as I now said, it looks like that comes from a German scholar named Wustenfeld. And the Hadith of Bukhari, we don't have anything from al-Bukhari until the 11th century. And the 8 of his 9 volumes don't appear to the 16th century. The same problem we're having with the Quran, we'll get to that in just a bit. Now, is he referred to in the 7th century in the time period he supposed lives? If he did exist, someone should have known about him, right? Or said something about him. So what we need to do, let's start with the coins. Because the coins, if there's any caliph coming to power, the first thing a caliph will do, or a king will do, will mint coins with his name on it, his image on it, and also what denomination he belongs to, what religion he belongs to, and the date of the coin, right?
Yes.
That's what they all do in those ancient days, because they didn't have newspapers, they didn't have TV, they didn't have radio. They knew that everybody would touch coins. So let's see where the mints are. According to Islam, everything that the caliphs did was in Medina, which is in the south there in Hijaz. But when you look at the mints, notice where all the mints are. The mints are all up there in Syria, Jordan, and Israel today. Those are the western mints. What about the ones in the east? They're all in what is today Iran and Iraq. There are no mints whatsoever where they're supposed to be. All the coins were minted too far north. Did I not say that earlier, too far north? What's interesting is when you look at the coins themselves, the conclusion is none of these mints were in the Hijaz, and instead they were too far north, possibly because the Hijaz was a desert with no water, and where there is no water, you know the rest of the story.
All right. What did he just say? He's pretty much saying, if this would have been a country, you would have had your own dollar bill. But any amount of dollars or any currency, any form of money, if you were supposed to be this prosperous nation or city, you would have had your own coin, your own dollar bill with its own image, with its own whatever. But he's saying the only money that circulated was thousands of miles away, either in Jerusalem or in this other place. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, but you saying you're over here in a desert.
Yeah.
So you're saying, how can that be possible? See, okay, he's saying now we're gonna see if we could find Muhammad in a coin.
Right. If he's supposed to be famous or something.
Yeah, celebrity. Big time.
Yeah.
Hollywood star.
No currency.
What was that?
No currency.
Exactly.
No, they're gonna find him. They're gonna find him. But check it, he's gonna break it. It's a different Muhammad. Look, he's gonna break it down. Look.
Oh,
Yeah,
no
look.
way.
Yeah,
So
look,
you're
look,
saying, hold on. I want to make sure I get my mind right. Are you saying that they found currency of a Muhammad, but it's not
Yes.
this Muhammad?
Yes. It was like a Christ. It was like a Christ-like Muhammad. Look, watch. He's gonna break it down. Watch.
All right. Wow.
Yeah. So since he was a
They
good
do this to
Christ-like
everybody.
guy, they grabbed him. They say, "Hey, let's call him Muhammad." Watch.
All right. Yo, this is something else. All right, let's go.
Would touch points. So let's see where the mints are. According to Islam, everything that the caliphs did was in Medina, which is in the south there in Hijaz. But when you look at the mints, notice where all the mints are. The mints are all up there in Syria, Jordan, and Israel today. Those are the western mints. What about the ones in the east? They're all in what is today Iran and Iraq. There are no mints whatsoever where they're supposed to be. All the coins were minted too far north. Did I not say that earlier? Too far north?
The banks, they're too far north.
What's interesting is when you look at the coins themselves, the conclusion is none of these mints were in the Hijaz, and instead they were too far north, possibly because the Hijaz was a desert with no water, and where there is no water, you know the rest of the story. Let's then look at the coins, because the coins were being minted by people who were living at that time, and they were leaders. Notice that when you look at the mints, look at the coins from the 7th century, 620, 630, 640, 650, up until 661, you notice that almost all the coins are Christian. Look at the crosses on them. That's what you do. You put the cross in if you're a Christian. We can't find any coins whatsoever in the early 7th century that has anything to do with Islam, anything to do with Muhammad, anything to do with the Quran, or anything to do with Mecca. Not at all.
Wow.
So when we get to Muawiyah, who is the first caliph according to the Islam from the Umayyad dynasty.
Did you want to add something?
Yeah, they watch. Well, I don't want to break it. It's honestly their Muhammad is Jesus. Watch. He's gonna break it down.
No way. All right,
That's
all right.
Muawiyah, the first caliph. Look at his coins. He's supposed to be a good Muslim, right? But take a look. What does he have above his head? A cross. Take a look at the two that are on the right there. Look at the two bottom ones there. There's Muawiyah. He has a cross above his head. He's holding a cross in his hand. On the back side of the coin is the word Muhammad, which is Muhammad. That's the first reference to Muhammad anywhere, and that's 663. Possibly, is he Muhammad? No. What does Muhammad mean in Arabic? The praised one.
I got cut. Sorry, bro.
Yeah,
So basically-
the coin of Muhammad has a cross.
Yeah, well, not even that. He just said the word Muhammad means the praised one, right? That's what I heard.
Yes, sir. And at that time of Muhammad time, there was a coin.
And they think it's the person Muhammad, but they don't know that it was the anointed one, Jesus.
That has a cross in it. That's the
Yeah.
Muhammad cross of that time. So they were, I think these were like disciples that were scattered, that had money. I'm telling you, there were a lot of people converted. See, these coins, someone designed the coin of Jesus
Right.
in that time.
Right. Yeah. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was like the Roman Empire, the Byzantine Empire, because they're around 300.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
it
the-
was like those coins were like you and I, like Christians doing business.
Exactly.
Like we wouldn't use these coins like to do with the government. But I think
Yeah.
these were coins that Christians use, like, yo, Flo, let me buy that car from you.
yeah.
here.
Trade. Just trade.
I took my gold. Yeah, all you have to do is weigh it.
Yeah.
But I will have my type of coin, designed in gold. Yeah, they went back there. Telling you, they went back there.
All right.
Let him break
You
it down.
ready?
Let him break it down.
All right. Here we go. This is good.
So who's the praised one? Well, if he's holding a cross and he's got a cross, who do you think the praised one is?
Jesus.
What's his name?
Jesus.
Thank you. Let's prove that. So let's go to an inscription that Muawiyah put down. This is an inscription by Muawiyah. There's his name. And he refers to himself as the servant of God, commander of the believers. And what does he have right there in the top left? A cross. So who is he a servant of God for? And what believers? Christians. He was a Christian, folks. All the coins say so. They don't lie. This is the 7th century. He rules up until 680, and then you have Abd al-Malik come to power in 685. Abd al-Malik is the one that we need to look at because he introduces new coins that introduce the Shahada. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. There's only one God but God. Muhammad is nothing more than the servant of God. But remember, Muhammad is a title. It means the praised one, right?
Exactly.
So what does he do?
Did you see that? Did you catch that? That title? It's only a title. That's why I teach that here. You got to get used to the titles, not the name, the titles. Jesus means something. Christ means something. All right, let's keep going.
Because of he puts that up there, Justinian II goes to war with him. He's the Byzantine emperor. Abd al-Malik
Byzantine
wins the
emperor,
battle, and he puts up this coin with himself as victorious. I didn't know you could put up images of yourself on your coins, not if you're a Muslim. So obviously he's not a Muslim. Obviously this Muhammad that's there has nothing to do with him. It has everything to do with Jesus. Why? Just look at the Dome of the Rock that he built. Look at the inscriptions on the Dome of the Rock that he built in 691. When you look at the inscriptions, you will see they're all attacking the divinity of Jesus, his Christology, the Trinity, and his sonship. All of these inscriptions say not three, for God is one and he has no son. For truly, God does not beget, nor is he begotten. One is in chapter 4, verse 171 of the Quran. The other is in chapter 112. These are all attacking Jesus Christ. And then you get, for truly, there is only one God but God, and the praised one. So who's the praised one? It's all about Jesus, right? So the praised one is nothing more than the messenger of God. He was an anti-Trinitarian Christian, attacking the Byzantine Christianity. Why? Because they're his greatest threat as the other superpower of his day. He then introduces this coin. This is my coin. I bought it now. And all of it is attacking Jesus Christ. Folks, this is the beginning of what later became Islam. All started by this man, and it was all to confront Jesus Christ.
Did y'all hear that? He said it. But that's why I'm interested because, like I said, they were trying to build a whole community of this, and he said it. They're against that, and for anybody that has met someone who's Islamic or Muslim but believes in Islam, they're against it. They're against Christianity. Don't pet the lion.
It's all against our Lord. The
I should say wolf. Don't pet the wolf.
coins don't lie. If you want to go to the inscriptions that find the exact same thing. They're found in the north, they're found in the south. None of them are found in the middle. Why do you think they're not found in the middle? There's no water. There you go.
Ooh.
Boy, you learn fast. Ilka Lindstad is the one who dated he was the one that looked at the rock in the inscriptions, and he looked at the 100-year period between 640 and 740, and he noticed that all these inscriptions, which are written in Arabic, they do have formula, but it's nothing to do with Islam. It's pious formula, which has much more to do with Christianity. It's not till 690 to 710 that the Prophet Muhammad is introduced into these inscriptions. Muslim rites such as pilgrimages, prayers, and fasts are introduced by about 720, and Muhammad as a man and the people called Muslims and the religion called Islam are not introduced until 730. That's over 100 years after Muhammad.
So this individual grabbed coins, a rock, and the inscriptions, and she confirms there was no evidence of anything Islamic on these inscriptions. So, because I know that what I've heard is Islam will say that they have been here from the beginning too. So he's saying, no, we haven't heard of anything from you until around 690. If anything, according to their sources, their history, if there was anything, it would have been around 690. See, prior to 690, there was no evidence of anything Islamic on the inscriptions, just on the topic of inscriptions. Everything comes after 690. No person, no body, anything. No witnesses, nothing.
So they grabbed that word anointed one from
The praise one.
that coin, from that, yeah. Then they turned it, they turned the name around. They called it Muhammad, but the anointed one from that time was a Christian anointed one,
Yes.
which was called Muhammad. And but
Right.
like I said,
That
but,
title.
the title was, it was the anointed one.
Yeah, that's what Muhammad means, anointed one, but they think it's a person, but it's like, no, you missed the point. The anointed one was Jesus, is Jesus,
Yes.
but you over here thinking it's a person called Muhammad. Because they thought that this coin meant that, and this coin has nothing to do with the Muhammad that y'all think about. If anything, it's against the scriptures, and it's against their belief to go up against the scriptures.
If Muhammad even existed. It was only in the 730s onwards that there is evidence of popular devotion to a man named Muhammad as a prophet and messenger, which makes the Islamic traditions incredibly awkward.
Yes, because see, you got to remember, I know I'm pausing a lot, but this is crucial. See, Jesus would, you have recorded conversations with Jesus, even Pilate does. You have people talking about Jesus. When he existed, they saw him. They'll say, yeah, he existed. When you look at the evidence, like how he's looking at it, there's going to be evidence at the time that Jesus existed. Here he's saying, nah, none of that comes until years later.
You have atheist philosophers that wrote
Right.
about Jesus in Jesus' time.
I've heard atheists confirm, because even atheists will prove there was a man called Jesus Christ that existed in that time when they do their own studies.
There is 100-year silence prior to this that indicates that Islam did not exist as a distinct religion until long after the time of Muhammad, which cast doubt on whether he had any part in starting Islam.
See,
I'm going to go through these real quickly. I just want to show
so
you.
he's saying even if Muhammad lived, you had no true confirmation that he even existed or lived until 100 years later. With Jesus Christ, you had his own apostles that witnessed him crucified, walked with him, and those same people that lived in his time that Jesus resurrected and was crucified, those same people, those eyewitnesses, they spoke of Jesus Christ. Here they're saying no one spoke of this person until 100 years later.
what about the references to Muhammad in the 7th century? There are major references. There are 4 of them.
Let's see.
Only the 4 references. Take a look at every one of these references to Muhammad in outside sources. Take a look. He is known as the Tayyaye de Muhammad. Muhammad the Tayyaye. Who are the Tayyaye? They were Lockmids. They lived in Iraq. So obviously the praised one is from Iraq. Look where Iraq is on a map. It's over 600 to 1,000 miles further north. What about...
So he's saying if they were talking about one, this is not him because it's too far away from Mecca.
636, the Arabs of Mahmud, which is in Yarmouk. Where is Yarmouk? It's north of Israel. So obviously, this is way too far north. Muhammad never went to Israel. I don't remember him ever being to Iraq. 660, Sabaeus talks about the Ishmaelite called Mahmud, who was aligned with 12,000 Israelites. First of all, that's not historical. There were no 12,000 Israelites who were going to war against the Byzantines. That never existed. So obviously, this is fraudulent. But nonetheless, look and see where this is. This is way up in Damascus. So that Muhammad, I don't recall Muhammad ever being that far north. And then you have John Bar Ben-Kaya in 690 talking about a teacher and leader of the Arabs who obviously was named Muhammad. Who is this referring to? Look and see who the Arabs were. They were all Christians, but they were not Trinitarian Christians at this time. It's really John of...
See right here, this one, Tony, that 690 AD, that's the one where the other guy steps in and he tells you where this... He says that the religion was pushed by Catholicism. And I'm going to show you that video another day. That the reason that Islam gained traction was on this one, number 4. Leader of the Arabs and stuff, the first real good reference, but still too far north. And they're going to say why. And I'm going to show you that other guy. Let's keep going.
Damascus, who really identifies and sees for the first time the Muhammad we're starting to come across. And he does refer to it, talks about Muhammad, who comes with his ludicrous doctrines, comes with 4 books. The book called The Cow, which is now Surah 2, the book called Women, which is Surah 4, the book called The Table, which is Surah 5, and the book called The Camel, which is Surah Nothing. There is no camel surah in the Quran. So obviously, whatever John Damascus is, it's not the Quran we know today. And the Quran is much bigger than just 3 surahs. There's 114 of them in the Quran. So obviously this means that there was no Quran that early.
There you go.
Every reference to Muhammad in the 7th century places him in Gaza, Jerusalem, Damascus, or Hira, which are all situated too far north and probably refer to another Muhammad, the praised one. Now we get to the Quran, and this is where it really gets really delicious. This is the best material, folks.
So there you go. He said if there's any Muhammad that existed, he would have had to teleport it in 3 different places. And existed as once, and he would have been leaders of different ones. So he's like, this is not the praised one.
Sit back.
And this one had a cross.
Yeah. Yeah, that was stolen from the true praised one, Jesus Christ.
Miss everything. So let's go ahead. What do the Muslims claim about the Quran? Number 1, it's uncreated. It's right there in the Quran itself in chapter 85, verse 22. Therefore, it has no...
So this right now, what we're about to go into, this is what the equivalent of their Bible. And some of the stuff that you're going to hear sounds like out of this world. It's kind of like when they said, oh, the Big Bang started when nothing existed, but then everything came into creation. That's kind of what they're saying the Quran is. It was uncreated, but it exists eternally on clay tablets in heaven. So if it's uncreated, what do you have in your hands reading? Right? So just stick with it. This is just their beliefs. Let's look at it.
It has never been had any chance that any human could have any control over it. It was sent down to Muhammad between 610 and 632. That's what they claim. It was completed by Uthman in 652. That's why this book in my hand right here is from Uthman, they say. And then number 4, the Quran is unchanged in the last 1400 years. Not one word, not one letter has changed. Have you heard Muslims say this? Every Muslim says those 4 things. Just memorize those 4 words.
There you go.
Uncreated, sent down, completed, unchanged. That's all you need to know. I'll come back to it. I'm going to shut down those 4, but I'm going to show you something even better about those 4. Hold on. So what do Christians claim about the Bible? Is the Bible uncreated? No, of course it's created. We know who wrote it. We even know the authors. We put their names on most of the books. The Bible was not sent down. It was inspired by God, but not sent down through an angel. Bible was complete, so yes, we would say that that was the case. The thing is, we don't have any of the original manuscripts, so we don't know what the complete is. Has it been changed? Yeah, parts of it has. We know where they've been changed. We know even what we even put. We're very transparent. We put in right where the verses that have been added or there have been scribal errors have been taken away. So we know that. We're very clear about that. And we're only talking about 40 verses out of over 6,000 verses. So tonight, I'm not going to shut down uncreated or sent down because I'm not there. I'm going to shut down complete and unchanged, those two. That's what I want to look at. So what I want to look for is one Quran manuscript from the 7th century that's complete, 114 surahs, that is unchanged. And this is what I've asked Muslims all over the world. I've debated over 100 debates that I've done with Muslims, and this is what I always ask. Show me one manuscript of your Quran from the 7th century that's unchanged, just like the Quran I have in my hand here. Where do we go to find out about the Quran? We have to go to Sahih Bukhari. Remember?
Y'all caught that, right? So he's saying, give me one complete Bible from your time. See, because we have ours. We know ours. Ours was completed a few short years after Jesus Christ and his apostles pretty much lived out their lives. And then they passed away. So we know what our Bible is. We know when it was completed. And we have the original manuscripts, Greek and whatnot, right? He's asking them for the same thing. Well, show me something from the 700s. That's the complete one that y'all claim to be.
I told him that he died in 870, so he's the one that tells us how the Quran was put together. Now, this is what he says. He says, Muhammad died in 632. It had not been written down. It finally got written down in its final form at the time of Uthman in 652, the third caliph. He then sent 5 copies to 5 different cities, Mecca, Medina, Basra, Kufa, and Damascus. And those then became the canonized Quran for the whole world. In 652. The problem is almost immediately another Quran supplants the one in Damascus written by Ubay ibn Ka'b. It had 116 surahs. That's 2 more than are in the Quran today. Another was written in Baghdad, written by Ibn Masud. It had 110 surahs. That's a 4 less than what is in the Quran today. Another was written by Ibn Musa, 114 surahs. It had so many differences. According to Arthur Jeffrey, who's done the work on this, if you just look at those manuscripts and you compare it with the Quran today, there are about 15,000 differences. You've got a problem. So how could there have been one Quran? There were at least 5 Qurans in 7th.
So what he's saying here is they're saying there's one Quran, but he's saying, no, there's not. But they're saying, no, we have the complete one. Well, how is it complete when you have one that says 116, one that has 110, one that has 114? They're not complete. Obviously, some of some are and some aren't. So you say that it's complete. You don't know which one's complete or incomplete. And as soon as these supposedly 5 copies were sent, there were other copies that they were claiming were true also. So when, you know, a Muslim tells you that it's a complete one, he's saying, no, you know it's been changed.
In the 7th century, from Mecca, Medina, Basra, Kufa, and Damascus, we cannot find one of them.
See?
Now, one of those Qurans exists today. Folks, we're only talking about 1,400 years ago. As Christians, we have the Sinaiticus, the Alexandrinus, we have the Vaticanus. These are from the 3rd and 4th century. That's 200 to 300 years before the Quran. Why can we reproduce our entire Bible? We have 365 manuscripts of the New Testament before the 7th century. Why can't they come up with one Quran?
Oh, that's a cut.
From the 7th century. That's my question. They are the ones that claim it, not me. Where are these 5 manuscripts? Look at those cities. They've always been controlled by Islam for the last 1,400 years. So how could they have lost it? Rather inept, wouldn't you say?
Oh.
So, before we get into the...
To them, it would be like stealing the Mona Lisa. You know what I mean? He's saying, if this is supposed to be so holy, so complete, where's the original ones?
Manuscripts, I want to look at the Qira'at. These are the readings. This has probably done the most devastating material that's just come out in the last few years. These are the original manuscripts. Now, I say original means these are the earliest manuscripts. You notice when you read them, you can all read the Arabic. You notice you can't. Why can't you read that? Because in order to be an reader Arabic, you need to have dots and vowels, right? There are no dots and vowels on that. You need that. Why? Because those manuscripts, the Samarkand and the Sana, Or those ones had 16 letters. But you can't read it today unless you have vowels to help you out, or dots. Today there are 28 letters, so obviously another 12 letters were added. Why? Because of the dots. Now there are 6 letters that don't require dot, like the aleph, the kaf, the lam, the mim, the nu, ha, and the waw. The other 22 all require dots. What am I talking about? Well, take a look at one smiley face. One smiley face is usually the root of most letters in Arabic. If you put 1 dot up, you have a na. 2 dots above, you have a ta. 3 dots above, you have a tha. 1 dot below, you have a ba. 2 dots below would have a ya. Na, ta, tha, ba, ya. 5 dots were added in the 8th century, not in the 7th century. Now I can read it, but that didn't exist in the 7th century. Not in those manuscripts you just saw. Hold on, what about dialectical differences? You need to have 3 vowels to have dialectical differences. So you need to have a dama, which is the u sound. You need to have a kasra, which is the e sound. And you need to have a fatha, which is the a sound. Those were only added in the late 8th century and the early 9th century. So you've got a problem here, because suddenly you have Abdul Malik who comes to power, and he wants to create a Quran because he's now introducing a prophet. A prophet has to have a book. So what do? You have to borrow right, left, and center. But the problem is you're borrowing in Arabic, and you don't have any Arabic that has dots and vowels. So you decide to write your Quran with your dots in it, and you call it Hafs. You decide to write well, you're supposed to be a male, but let's say pretend you're male today, and you call it Warsh. And you decide to write your Quran, and you put your dots and vowels wherever you want to. You live in Kufa, you live in Cairo, you live in Damascus, and you put your own dots wherever you want to, and you put your dots where you want to. Suddenly we have 4 different Qurans, right? In 4 different cities. Well, that starts to proliferate. Until the 10th century, there were 700 different Qurans.
How many?
Did you hear me?
It's like he heard me. Yeah, how many? How many different Qurans? Let's see.
700 different Qurans.
Yo, imagine if we came to people and we told them that we had 700 different versions of the Bible because we couldn't translate them correctly. See, you don't have that problem with our Bible. You really don't. Our Bible is a really good, if I may say it, historical document. It's really well protected. And if you need to go to the root, there's a root. Here he's saying, if you go look for a root, you're going to find 700 roots. That's what he's saying. This tree has 700 trunks or whatever. He said it's hard to get to the origin.
According to this man who did his doctoral thesis, he's now head of the Islamic department at Harvard University. Shadi Nasa. He guessed and estimates because they're not there today. Now, you've got a problem. After all these Qurans, none of them are agreeing. You've got a difficulty. So Ibn Mujahid, man in the 10th century, was given the responsibility to choose 7. But before we do that, notice, if dots are in different places with different vowels, just with 3 different one of those little smiley faces, you get 19 different words.
What?
There's the difficulty.
Okay.
So here's what he did. He was given the responsibility to choose 7. And these are the first 7 he chose.
Yeah.
Nafi from Medina.
Hold on. This is important because they'll even use this argument with the Bible. So basically what he's saying right now is this. He's saying, look, there are 700 different versions, but you're only going to grab 7. Out of 700 options, we want you to find just 7. That's like you're gambling. You're gambling. Because out of the 700, what if one was true, but this man, okay, choose 7. That's a problem. They got a big problem right here. This is a huge problem. Because you have a man, and what he just said is, he was like, look, these had to be so perfectly written that if you missed a point or a smiley face, you could misinterpret the word. But that's not the only issue you have. You have 700 unreliable copies, not knowing which one is true. But out of the 700 that we don't know which one's the real one, because we have no way to confirm it, we need you to build one. We need you to build a transformer. That's pretty much what they're asking him to do. That's tough. I feel sorry. And you know what? Because of the way that they are, I'm pretty sure he felt honored, but at the same time, he was afraid. because this, you don't play over there and get away with it. We'll say.
Ibn Kathir from Mecca, Abu Amr from Basra, Ibn Amir from Damascus, Asim from Kufa.
And this is 200-300 years after Muhammad. So he's going not based on the person. He's going not even people who live with him. He's just going based off documents. That's wild.
From Kufa and Al-Iskasai from Kufa. Notice that 3 of them are from Kufa, 1 to Damascus, the other one is from Basra, and the other 2 are from Arabia. Look at the dates. What do you notice about the dates of every one of those? Look at the death dates.
Exactly.
Every one of them either died between 736 and 805. That means 8th and 9th century. Did any of these men know Muhammad? Did they even live in the same century as Muhammad? So how could they have come from Muhammad?
Exactly.
These are the 7 that every Muslim will swear came from Muhammad.
See?
But no one's bothered to look at their dates.
Oh.
I am the one that put the dates up there.
Oh.
You've got to put the dates together, folks. And this is where you're going to shut down every Muslim. They have no idea of these dates.
To hear that? See, they didn't know when these people were born, and they didn't know when they passed away. And they all say they knew Muhammad. So it would be like the 12 apostles saying we knew Jesus, but they were born 50 years later.
He's saying that the Muslims are also saying, no, he's saying that also that the Muslims believe
Right.
that these writers, right, these guys,
Yeah,
knew Muhammad.
are his apostles, right? Walked with him,
Oh,
lived
that's
with
deep.
him, right?
But the Muslims don't believe that. See, but the Muslims don't got the exactly. They don't know the dates.
They don't know. They don't know that he wasn't not even in. If he did exist, he would have been in the ground already.
It's like me hanging out with my great grandfather. No, my great great grandfather, and
And
he's
he's
saying that
buried.
we walked together with Muhammad.
But they're saying they walked with him. Yeah.
But Muslims believe that. But he's saying, okay, but that's not what the records show. We went there and found this out.
Yo, this screenshot right here. Taking a screenshot of this and showing it to him. Bro, okay, I'm gonna keep going. This right here, and what this man did with them dates, it would be like us finding out that the apostles didn't walk with Jesus because they were born after Jesus. This is devastating.
Yeah, right. And it's like saying Peter was 90 years older than his little brother.
Yo, yeah.
Yeah, he was fishing. 90 years
Oh,
old.
that's wild.
And his brother was 20. No, his brother was 18, hanging out with John the Baptist.
Yo, this is a
That's what
big axe to the root right here, bro.
Oh, there's a little more. He's gonna kill it right now.
Yeah,
It's
go
crushing
ahead,
it.
Steve. What you got, Steve?
Oh, I was muted the whole time. I've been like laughing at with you guys.
You have it? Oh, yeah.
I hate to laugh with that, but he's destroying it.
Yeah, like
Evidence, because that's what the Muslims do with Christianity.
exactly.
So, but it's ain't it illegal for like the Muslims? They can't like
No, right. They can ask. Oh, you got to be
they
careful.
can't
'cause
ask about
They
anything,
they
you know?
actually doing
Research.
they're actually doing the Muslims a big favor,
Exactly.
yeah,
Evidence.
right?
yeah.
They
Without
went
them-
we went and got their hands dirty and found out and did all the research for them. Even that lady that spoke 15 languages she visited 20 cities to find out if they knew about a Mecca down the block. They were like, no, really? No, Mecca who? Mecca what? Okay, that's not what the Quran's believe. Well, I'll be back. She went to 20 cities.
Devastated right there.
20 cities speaking in their language. mira, tú fuiste alguien de alguien que se llama Muhammad por ahí.
He said
Muhammad.
Mecca who, Mecca
La
what?
Meca, no, aquí la Meca, aquí no le
I'm
la
next to
Meca.
like a Jaineo.
Yo, she went to every city just to find out. It wasn't even her business. She wasn't even born over there. She just was curious and went
Bro,
to every city. You know how much money that took?
I'm just shocked, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm just shocked that this hasn't gone viral. If this goes viral, I'm telling you, I don't see how. If I was
Yeah.
a Muslim and they grab this, and I would try and support and back it up and be like, all right, well, how about this? Tell me that these people existed, or did you make them up? Well, yeah, we're gonna find out we existed. All right, go get the birth records. Go get the death certificates.
No, they minds.
I watched something similar to this, not maybe about a year ago, and it was about Ishmael, and like I said, it was kind of the same thing.
Uh-huh.
It kind of destroyed the concept of Mecca, and
Uh-huh.
the time frames were just all
That's what he's
over the
saying.
place. But
Right. Hmm.
this is like they were saying that it's against the law for Sari law for
Yeah.
them to actually even do any of their
Question
own research. Yeah, so it's not really, it never went anywhere other than Christians.
No, because they immediately call you like almost like an infidel.
Yes,
That's the word, an infidel in their language. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I've seen their own people question them. See, we believers, we're kind, we're peaceful, we're nice. We're spoiled, but I don't want to call it spoiled. There's grace.
yes.
I've seen their
Amen.
teachers. They immediately, because if you're called an infidel or something like that, there's consequences. You want to know I had a brother in my brick and mortar who was so strong in his theology and defending the word is what I mean by that. That I asked him, I said, why don't you share this with other believers like Muslims? You know what he said? He said, I don't want to do that because if they say something wrong, it could be life or unaliving. They can end their life. I said, what? He said, yeah. Some of the ones that I know, they said if they get something wrong, and I said, oh yeah, this ain't right. That's what he said. I'm just sharing what he said. And I know that and I've seen video, and that's what got me interested to it, because they're on the news. I've been hearing about them, but I'm like, you know what? Let's actually look into it, because they're closer than I thought. See, this is something we can keep playing. There's no big tidal wave coming behind us, and we're in the beach trying to take a selfie.
Right.
That doesn't stop the tidal wave from coming. And
I even heard that the Catholic, I think that's what it said too. The Catholic Church is the one who invented the whole Mecca.
Well, yeah, we'll look into that another day, because that's what I was telling Brother Tony, because there's actually Dr. J. Smith here speaking to the one that I know, another apologist that I know, an evangelist who talks about that. So maybe we'll read more about it, but I just can't, me and Sister Donna, we talked about before, I said, a lot of the time in churches, we don't talk about the wolves. That's why a lot of our churches cannot recognize a wolf dressed as a sheep.
Yeah. Amen.
And me and Sister Tisha one time, we went to TikTok, and these people are willing to lie. These people said, hey, let's just have because when I go to TikTok, I go there to defend the word and stuff like that. That's how Ezekiel found me, because he saw me preaching and debating, and lives were being converted. That's what it meant. And people come into the Lord and stuff. So then that's how Ezekiel found me.
Oh, wow.
But in there and TikTok, me and her, we jumped in one day and I said, look, let me go with you. Don't go in alone. Cause you know, it's still social media. You know, there's still not Christian like things in there.
Amen.
So when me and her went in there, I saw in TikTok, you got to have certain amount of followers for you to have a following, a group. There was these couple of people posing like, God exists, debate me or something like that. So I was like, okay, they're cool. But one of them sounded really violent, like hostile towards a woman. Like he was like telling her like, he was just being aggressive. You shut up. You don't speak. We're not talking. What makes you think? Why do you keep saying? Like he was out of order, like manifested. I went in a week later, and he changed his whole profile. A week. It's like literally he took off the sheep's clothing, and his profile, his name, his profile, everything was Muslim. And I said, oh no, if this is what they're like, that they're willing to lie and pretend to be believers, I can't wait. And that's what they were doing. Ask Sister. I'm telling you, if we bring Sister Tisha in here, I'll have her share, but I'm not. But she's the witness of it. And I said, you see that dude? She said, yeah. I told her a week later, and I showed her, and she was like, oh, that's crazy. And I told her that explains why he treated that woman, an American woman, civilized, treated her like my brother. If I was a cop and I would have heard that outside the window the way he was talking to her, I would have thought, I'm about to break into this home because it looks like he's about to do something to her.
Oh, wow.
And then I started, it wasn't normal, man. It sounded, and you know, I'm not trying to pull any triggers, but he had no respect for women. And you heard it. And there was other people in that, and they're all being quiet.
You know what's crazy is Ezekiel. You said that's how you met it. Ezekiel just randomly called me, like on Instagram, and I was like,
that's what he does.
It was just so out of the blue.
No, it's not out of the blue. He's just trying to recruit. That's all. But it's just.
Don't forget where we left off. We driving away. We driving away from the shore.
Let's go. All right, so back to this. It would have been like the 7 apostles didn't walk with Jesus, but they're claiming that they did. And this dude found out you were born out of time.
Those are the first 7, but this book is not there. This is Hafs. This is the official book for the whole world today, memorized by 93% of all Muslims.
That's bad. That's not bad.
Asim. You see Asim's name up there, number 5? He is a disciple of Asim. So in 1194, 2 disciples were chosen from every one of the 7 to make 14, right? And that was...
See, they call them disciples too.
Chosen by Al-Shatibi in 1194. Now you have 7 plus 14. How many do you have? 21. Am I correct?
Yes.
I hope my math's right. That still isn't good enough. In the 15th century, in 429, another man named Al-Jazari chose another 9 to culminate with another 21. So now you have 30 different Qurans.
Wow.
No 2 are alike. But you know there's only one Quran. And the
30
one that was chosen
Qurans.
by Saudi Arabia was the Hafs.
That's like 30 books, 30 Bibles.
Guess how many differences there are?
Different Bibles.
30 different legitimate hard effort Bibles. That's a lot, bro. They can't argue. Our Bible has been, they better not. I'm going to be like, bro, whatever we did, you did it like 7 times worse.
There are between Hafs and the other 29. 93,000.
Look at the differences.
93,000. This is the first time you're hearing this, right?
Yep.
I hope you people who are watching,
I'm
you Muslims
watching.
who are watching, you're listening to this.
I'm watching you.
This is going to shut down your Quran for you.
Oh.
Who is the one that found this?
Confirmation. Confirmation.
Bro, I told you, bro. I told you.
Hatun Tash, my colleague. She's only 5'2". She's from Turkey. In London, she and I were on the ladder for 3 years there at Speaker's Corner every Sunday.
That's it.
She was the one that found
Speaker's
these
Corner.
by accident because she went to Morocco, she went to Yemen, she went to Jordan, and she went into a bookstore and says, show me a Quran. And they said, well, which Quran are you talking about? She said, what do you mean, which Quran?
Oh.
He said, well, we have Qalun here, we have Hafs over here, we have Warsh over here, we have Kisai over here, we have Ibn Kathir. She said, well, give them all to me. So she brought them back to London, showed me them, and I looked at them and I said, oh man, I started laughing. I thought these were all destroyed in 1924. They're in Cairo and thrown into the Nile. Evidently not. There they are. She has found now 26 of them. She brought 26 of them down to Speaker's Corner. We held them up in 2016. We filmed it, went all over the internet. This shut down the Quran in 2016. See the man that's there on the right, the tall man with the beard? His name is Muhammad Hijab. One of the most popular men on the internet. He has a following about anywhere from 500,000 to 1 million followers. He was there filming us. When he was doing that, he realized there was a problem. He quickly went outside the crowd and he yelled at all the people, come to me. Do not look at what they're showing you. Do not listen to what they're saying. I will explain everything to you. Obviously, he explained it pretty well. Why? Because 4 years later, he was shown these material. I'm not going to go into all of these. You can go into every one of them, but you can see the Hafs on the left, the Warsh on the right. In every case, it's completely different words. Just by changing the vowels, by changing the dots, you not only get different words, you get different meanings. You don't even get different meanings. You get different doctrines, you get different theologies, and you get different practices.
There you go. See, you don't have that issue with the Bible, yo. When you get serious about the Bible, right? You're not gonna have this issue. If you have when you do a deep study, if you want to find out how legitimate is the Bible, you might have a period or a comma or words that may have the same meaning or similar meaning, but to change the whole belief, the doctrine, you only see that in today's Bibles that are not ran by holy people. Like the certain Bible versions, you do want to be careful of. Anytime you get a Bible version from today, right? There's some Bible versions today, you need to go to Google, and I would agree, they're trying to discredit our modern day Bible. But if you go to like King James 1611 and before that, and then there's some Bibles that are like word for word, you're going to be good when you compare that to documents that are anywhere from 1,400 to 1,600 years old. It's still going to be consistent. Right here, he's saying they all contradict each other. But see, Muslims will say we have the true one, and then you show up and you say, well, will the real one stand up? Which one is it? Is it this one? Is it this version? Is it that version or that version? And they say, no, there's only one version. Okay, well, why am I holding? That's what he's talking about. Why am I holding over 20 versions in my hand? And this is what they do. I've seen that. He said, nobody look at them, look at me. Because they're focused on grabbing people. Because see, they're not looking for God, they're looking for people.
It shuts down the Quran from being preserved. Obviously, these are all done by man. There's a problem there. And so he came to this man who's a leading authority there on the right, Yasser Qadhi, there in Houston, and he said, I have a problem. I'm going to put my hand out here, and this is a blank piece of paper. Which Quran are you going to write on it? Which is the one that's eternal? Which is the one that was revealed to Muhammad? Tell me, which one of it? Remember, he was the one that told all the Muslims he was going to explain it to them. Yasser Qadhi says, we do not talk about this in public.
See?
This is the most difficult problem for Muslim scholars for the last 1,000 years. He said, we have a respect for the Quran. There are certain questions we don't ask.
See?
So Muhammad said, was that the problem you had when you were at Yale University getting your doctorate on this in 1995? Is that where you had a crisis of faith? He says, no, not crisis.
Pause. Mm-hmm. What's up?
Okay, you see that guy on the left?
This
with
one?
With the beard?
Yeah.
Okay. This is the rundown. So remember, he was at the public square, right? That's what he called it, the Speaker Square.
Yes.
And he saw that young the Indian lady telling everybody, look, which Quran is yours? I found all these Qurans. Right?
Uh-huh.
So
yes.
This guy with the beard went to this guy that's a master, like a scholar.
This guy right here.
He said, listen, I was at the Speaker's Corner and there was this lady. She was right. She said she found 30 Qurans. So he's telling this guy, which is the real Quran?
Oh, wait.
Wait.
So you're telling me that a student that has like a mentor asked the mentor, hey,
yes,
I got into a situation, guide me, right? Like
a lady called Yanning.
Right. But he's asking the guy in the blue who is supposed to be like, I guess, like a scholar or something.
Yes,
Okay,
the best of one of the best of the world.
Okay.
And he tells him, "Listen, I bumped into this lady, and she found 15 Qurans. She actually finds 30, but that's part two. But she said, yo, she went to the speaker's corner and she's right. She found 15 Qurans. So he goes back to his leader. He tells his leader, listen, leader, which is the real one that we should be holding? And the leader messes up big time.
No way.
He messes up big time. And the problem is that this was recorded. It was going live. So when his master teacher messed up, they tried to delete the video, but it was already too late because they recorded it. The apologists, he's one of them. Check it out. Watch. It's gonna get hard. It's gonna get hard. This is it. Watch.
You're muted, Steve, by the way. You're muted, brother Steve, just by the way.
Notice the difference. He said, in the West, the scholars have come leaps and bounds in the last 100 years. And they're looking at you, pointing to Muhammad Hijab in the East, they're looking at you like the emperor with no clothes. Why? Because your standard narrative has holes in it. What narrative? Standard Islamic narrative. S-I-N. Has holes in it. Well, we know sin has holes in it. But can you see what happened?
Oh.
This was only a 28 long... This is really a question that was happening. It was an interview for 28 minutes. He didn't know we were all watching this. He said, I never have talked about this for 25 years. I will never do a lecture on this. So Muhammad Hijab put his hand out a second time. He said, you've got to tell me which is the one that's eternal. Because the Quran says in chapter 85, 1 and 22, that this book is eternal. The Quran says in chapter 10, verse 15, and chapter 18, verse 27, that no man can change one word or even one letter. It says in the Quran, chapter 15, verse 9, that Allah protects his word. Which is the one? Yasir Qadhi, after 28 minutes, finally had to give in. And he finally had to admit, they're all the Quran. All 30 of them. You take a little bit of Qalun, you take a little bit of Warsh, you take a little bit of Hafs, and you just mix them out, and that's the Quran we have today. I started clapping. I was watching this live. I said, Yasir Qadhi, you have no idea. You've just now admitted that there are 93,000 differences. I'm going to show you these two right here. These are two of them right here. There's the Hafs, here's the Warsh. You can buy these on the internet. This is the one that is memorized by 93% of the world's population. This is memorized by 3% of the world's population. This is from Egypt. This one is from Kufa in Iraq. There are 5,000 different words between these two books. I'm holding them right here. This shuts down the Quran. Within 2 weeks, if you looked at their sites, there were hundreds of Muslims. They said, we're leaving Islam because of what you have said.
Oh.
And our blood is going to be on your shoulders.
Yep.
They had to shut down those comments.
There it is.
Within 2 months, they had to take that video off of both their sites, but I've got it.
Oh.
David Wood has it. Hatun Tash has it. And every June 8th of every year, we bring up that interview once over again and show the whole world. You cannot say that this comes from God. You cannot even say it comes from Muhammad. You can't even say it comes from Uthman. This has been changed and manipulated from the last 1,400 years.
Yo, this guy has his own anniversary of this. We gotta get our hands on that video. He said,
"Oh no! Every year, all these apologists they get together and they sell it and they play the video on YouTube." Yo, you heard what he said? He said 250 Muslims converted when they heard this.
More than that.
He said you messed up because he said I'm a convert, but your blood wasn't my hands. I almost went to hell because of you.
Yep.
Ooh. He said, yeah. He said, I almost went to hell because of you all my life. I wasted all my life. And you just admitted that the Bible, it's like somebody saying that the Bible came from, half of it came from Jehovah's Witness. Another one a part of it came from Mormons. The other one came from, and then we put it together and we called it the Bible. That's what he said.
crazy.
He
Yep, he
said
did.
there is no Bible. He said there is
Wow.
no Bible. They're all the Bibles. Oh, but go ahead. Let him play.
Now let's get to the manuscripts. Because the manuscripts we do have.
There you go. Manuscripts. This is the the Atticus Codex and stuff like that. That's like origin.
Now, we have 8,500 Greek manuscripts, 10,000 Latin Vulgates, another 9,000 in 11 different languages. That's roughly 24,000 to 25,000 manuscripts of the New Testament alone. Am I correct? Just say yes.
Yes.
How many manuscripts do they have that are early?
Not too many.
6. You want to see them? There they are. The Topkapi from Turkey, the Samarkand from Uzbekistan, the Ma'il in London, the Petropolitanus, I'm sorry, I'm going the wrong way, from France, the Al-Huzayni there in Cairo,
Dang,
and the Sana
that's
manuscript, the
huge.
most exciting, there in Yemen. I'm not going to unpack every one of them. These are the ones we're debating. I did a debate on these 6 manuscripts in 2014 with the world's leading scholar, Dr. Shabir Ali. He could not answer one question because he'd never looked at these manuscripts. I have 3 of them, the facsimiles of 3 of them in my office.
Then why do you call him an expert? Yo, that's crazy. How are you gonna call somebody an expert and they haven't looked at the manuscript? I need to call my brother in Christ, Wes Huff. How?
No, but he didn't know. He didn't know they know. He knew they were experts. So he asked them, and they were like, "Did he know?" And they were like, "Yo, what? You don't know? I thought you knew. You're an expert."
No. So he ain't an expert. He's a rookie. He didn't even get into the school of it, bro. How you gonna? An expert is someone who knows their discipline. He's no expert, man. See, they didn't know, man. All right, let's keep going. That shit. How you gonna call this man an expert and he doesn't know about manuscripts? All right, let's keep going.
We're looking at them. Folks, do you notice what we have found? No 2 of these manuscripts are from the 7th century. They're from the 8th, 9th, and 10th century. No 2 are alike. And they don't agree with the Quran we have today. The best one, the Topkapi, which is about 99%, has 2,270 manuscript variants. When you look at the Sana manuscript, it has 2 different layers of letters, and there are 63 verses in the lower layer. It has 70 variants just within those 63 verses. Can you see there's a problem here? I'm not going to get into these ones here. These are the carbon datings. But when you
Bro, this guy carbon dated these. Let me see.
look at the carbon datings of the earliest manuscript, the Sana manuscript, the datings of the carbon datings of this manuscript, they are date from 390 to 550. They all predate the Quran. They predate Islam, and they predate Muhammad, proving that carbon dating don't use. So they came up with this book here called the Birmingham Folios, the Birmingham manuscript. Remember this in 2015? It was all over the internet. When you look at the Birmingham manuscript, it's only 2 pieces of paper, front and back. It's only 33 verses, and guess what? It's all about the 7 sleepers of Ephesus, chapter 18. That has nothing to do with Islam. It's about the proto-evangelion of James. That has nothing to do with Islam. And it's about the story of Moses. That all predates Islam. All of these are in Arabic, and they are nothing to do with Islam.
They stole Christianity. There's so many things
They're
about
talking about their prophet before he was born was given something that never was given to him.
At a place that didn't exist.
I'm sorry, yo.
There's
Yo,
a hundred.
That's wild.
Look at
Yeah.
like a billion, 2 billion.
Yeah.
There's like 2 billion Muslims on this planet.
And their
That's what
Quran
I'm
claims,
saying.
their Quran claims that Muhammad was in a place with milk and honey, but the
Yes.
records show this was a desert.
So is it safe to say it's a fairy tale?
Bro.
It's a fairy tale. It's deception at its finest.
Fairy tale.
Said, what milk? There's nothing out here, bro.
Yeah.
Oh
And they
my
praying to a
God,
place.
bro.
They praying to a temple that they went and investigated and asked all the villages if they heard of Lionheart and they never heard of it. But you claim it's in the center of the.
It's the center of YouTube with billions of followers, bro.
Yeah. Oh, okay. He's almost done. He's almost done. He's about to trash it right now. I think even Allah is gonna trash his Quran after this debate.
Bro, I'm telling you. I mean, he said it, bro. I told you this video is all facts. If I was a Muslim listening to this,
They'd be getting upset.
the only thing I'd be saying is stop watching it, stop watching it. That's fake. That's fake. You know what's gonna? I mean, they would start threatening. That's the last hope. The last hope is be like, hey, you know what? You watch this, you're not with us, and get all emotional. That's
a riot.
Yeah, that's what that other dude said. Hey, don't look at them, look at me at Preacher's Corner.
They're not allowed to question their faith in Muslim. That's the problem right there. Go ahead. Well, I'm just saying if they question it, you know, they can honestly, you know, they can punish them even to death.
Yeah, so, but see, when you question it too, right? Yeah, and you're right, to death, right? And when I've seen social media has exposed so many real violent responses when someone does question it. Mm-hmm. Like some people, me and Tony can kick it right now, but I'm like, hey Tony, did Jesus say this? And Tony's like, get out of my house. You're one of them. Well, no, I was just asking a question. I was just asking you what page was it on, man? Get out. Yo. It's serious though. It's like that. That's how they move. I've seen them move. I feel sorry for some of them because, you know.
You don't question how you know the truth. That's common sense in life.
And then they'll say, no, it's by faith. So don't question your faith.
You don't have a voice.
Well, no, that's what they say, sister. They say this. They say if you question it, that's doubt, and you're not going to understand. And with the whole hand movement and everything, and if you question it with that doubt, then you're not believing in the faith. And you're like, you want me to have faith in a lie? Yeah, that's what he's exposing.
And you only want to learn. What they're doing is they want to ask questions because they want more information. They're not putting it down, but to the others, they're going against it.
Mm-hmm. And they didn't. And another thing on top of that is they didn't want to translate it in English either, or any other language, because the moment that it came out into the open, other people would have the ability to investigate it.
Other scholars,
and they decipher it.
And they got caught in a lie because they showed documents and they were like, yeah, this is true, but this is made of carbon. If your time, it was papyrus. Give me some papyrus. And they were like, oh, okay, I'll be back. And they never came back. They tried to show us, they knew it too. They were like, yeah, but this is carbon. This is dated 900 to the.
This is huge.
Yeah, we need something more like papyrus.
This is huge.
All right. I had my people call your people.
Yeah, for real.
So what's going on? Hold on.
I watched.
I want to introduce this guy here, Dr.
What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say there's this really good debater. I can't think of his name right now though. But he goes head to head. I love watching because he destroys Muslims and their belief. Everything that he's saying right here. This guy does it all. I can't believe I don't remember his name. He's always on like YouTube, and I watch it just to try to. Yeah, I'll figure out what his name is.
Yeah, just let us know and we'll take a look. But I know a couple. Here we go.
Dr. Dan Brubaker, he was in our conference this last weekend. You should have come. This man has just shut the Quran down because of this book right here. You need to buy this book. Basically what he has done is he's taken the Muslims at their word and he says if there's no changes in the last 1400 years, let's see if I can find changes. And he's the only one that's looked at all the manuscripts, and he has found insertions. There you can see some there. He has found erasures. There you can see erasures there. He has found erasures overwritten. You can see them there in the red. He has found overwriting without erasures. He has found selective coverings. There are so many coverings in the middle one there. There are 8 different coverings. Every case when you see insertions, when you have overwriting, when you have any one of these references, these differences, what happens in every case, it brings it down to a standardization of the Hafs text. Means that this is censorship that's been going on for not 1,400 years, it's been going on since the 1300s. For 700 years, they've been changing these manuscripts to make them so they all are alike. Selective coverings, overwritten, and tapings. We went down to Speaker's Corner. I go down there whenever I'm in London. There's Hatun Tash, the 5'2" lady that destroyed the Quran. They're on my left there. And we decided to introduce this book there at Speaker's Corner. While we were there, one of the leading scholars on the right there, Mansour Ahmad from Bangladesh, got up there and tried to shut us down. And he was making the claim that you can trace the Quran back all the way to the 7th century. So I turned to him and I said, okay, you can do that. Show me what manuscript you're talking about. It's not the Topkapi or the Samarkand. It's not the Petropolitanus. You can't use the Husseini, and don't use the Ma'il manuscripts, and certainly don't use the Sana manuscript, because all of these are 8th, 9th, and 10th century. Which is the manuscript that goes back to the 7th century? He finally had to admit that there were 96% of the Quran that they could find within the 1st century. That means between 622 and 721 or 719. Notice the 63 that he's talking about. These are the fragments that he has found. Notice we looked at every one of these fragments.
Oh my God.
None of them. Those ones I'm putting up there, no one has come to any conclusion on those 20. The next 9 are all after 7th, 19. So they shouldn't have used those 9. And the next 34, no one's done any work in. Which means he has basically, what the Muslims have done, they've just created manuscripts or fragments. Most of these are just 1 or 2 verses. They've tried to come up with 63 to come up with 96% of the Quran, and none of them can be used from the 1st century of Islam. Ooh, I love it. Makes my job so easy.
In a nutshell, he said over 90% of what they have today would not be anywhere near the first original ones.
Wow.
Over 90%. That's what I heard. Let me run it one more time just to confirm what I heard. I don't want to misspeak.
Manuscripts, and certainly don't use the Sana manuscript, because all of these are 8th, 9th, and 10th century. Which is the manuscript that goes back to the 7th century? He finally had to admit that there were 96% of the Quran that they could find within the 1st century. That means between 622 and 721.
Okay.
Or 719.
So 96% between the dates he just said.
Notice the 63 that he's talking about. These are the fragments that he has found. Notice we looked at every one of these fragments. None of them. Those ones I'm putting up there, no one has come to any conclusion on those 20.
So it's unreliable. They don't know.
9 are all after 7th, 19.
And the other piece of information came way later. Not in the between 601 and 699.
They shouldn't have used those 9. And the next 34, no one's done any work in. Which means he has basically, what the Muslims have done, they've just created manuscripts or fragments. Most of these are just 1 or 2 verses. They've tried to come up with 63 to come up with 96% of the Quran, and none of them can be used from the 1st century of Islam. Ooh, I love it. Makes my job so easy. Thus, none of them are really valid, since all of them are either later or tentatively dated or have no supporting evidence. So, where did the Quran that we have in our hand, where did it come from? This book right here.
Yes.
It was chosen in 1924 by one scholar named Muhammad al-Husseini al-Haddad. Why? Because they were having such problem amongst the high school kids there in the city of Cairo. They were having 30 different answers for all the questions. They went to Muhammad al-Husseini al-Haddad and said, choose one. And he chose this one. What did they do with the other 29? Threw them into the Nile, like I said earlier, thinking that would get rid of them. They didn't count on Hatun Tash, 5'2" lady, to decide to find them in 2013. Nonetheless, that was so successful of choosing one Quran.
So he made the choice of what was the original Quran after it was Frankenstein, made it come to life 300 years later. No, 1,300 years later after the prophet lived. So they finally made a decision, and they were like, for this one to be true, we have to get rid of the other ones that everybody else also claimed were true. But they didn't get rid of the body. Is the
Yeah,
best
you
way
know
I
what
can
happened? What happened was in the university they had tests regarding Islam, and all the students had different answers because there was a bunch of different Qurans. So they were like, "Listen, we need one Quran," because everyone had, it was like, remember, there were 13 of them, and they tried to stash it. They kept them. So they called this guy and they said, "Listen, we have a problem. We have these are big universities. We have the class for Islam, but everyone's coming out with different answers because everyone has their own Quran. Well, what shall we do?" And so he grabbed all their Qurans and he said, "Well, we're gonna stick with this one." And they threw the other ones away. So this is the Quran that Muslims got now. But go ahead, he's gonna break it down better.
That by 1936, it was then chosen as the Quran for the entire country of Egypt. By 1985, the Saudi Arabian government saw how successful that model was, so they chose it for the whole world in 1985. How many people are older or were living in 1985? Just raise your hands. That means every one of you who's raising your hand is now older than the Quran. Oh boy, that must make you feel old.
Bro.
But now we're coming to the best. This is the last thing, and this is lovely. See, you'd like to know where the Quran really comes from, right?
Yes.
I'd like to know where the Quran really comes from.
Tell me.
Because if you're having to put together a book because a man has been chosen who writes the book, you don't have anything at hand. What are you going to do? You're going to borrow, are you not? So this is exactly what happened in the 8th, in the 9th, in the 10th century. But what did they borrow? Let me introduce this man here, Dr. Gunther Lulling, who was a German scholar. He did his doctorate in 1970, and as he looked at the Quran, he noticed that there was some beautiful poetry in the Quran. He said, "I've seen that before." So he took those 5 dots off, and he took the 3 vowels out, and replaced them with Syriac and Nabatean dots, or Syriac, Nabatean Syriac, or Syriac documents, put the Syriac dots back in, and put the vowels back in. And guess what he found?
Okay. Basically, what he said was this man looked at a Ferrari in the street, looked at a car, whatever it is. He looked at a Ferrari and he was like, you know, there's something off about this Ferrari. This Ferrari looks like it has similar parts. This looks like a Volkswagen. Some of these have Volkswagen parts. But what if they weren't the same company? What if it was like Ford? Ford dressed like a Ferrari. That's what he just said right now. He said that he's realizing that the language looks like another similar language.
Yeah, it's like he read the Quran and he bumped into a verse that sounded familiar.
Yeah, like Shakespeare or something.
No, it sounded like I have no road else sail. It's like he heard the Lionheart song, right? That's what happened. He said, "Wait a minute, that sounds familiar." So he grabbed that verse and he went to that song that sounds familiar and removed the dots. He removed the dots from the Quran. He said, "Oh no, they copied this." Watch, he's gonna break it down. Oh, he's nice. Watch.
That these beautiful poetry.
Remember the scholar. He read the verse.
Written by Christians about Jesus Christ.
By Jesus Christ.
This was found in 1970. As a result of that, he was such an embarrassment for the academia there in Germany that though he received in his doctoral the Examen Opus, which is the highest grade you could get in Germany, which means that you should be given a professorship in any university of your choice, he was thrown out of academia and he went into obscurity for 30 years. Lived on welfare with his wife. I met him in 1998. I said, "Could I see your doctorate?" I took it.
But I guess it's just a personal question.
They would have murdered him. They would have murdered him because he said, "Wait, you guys stole this from the Bible."
But so it's the university that he's going to, right? Is the university that he's going to, was it Islamic origin?
No, this is a different story. with this guy.
Okay.
With Gunther, he said he found a verse in the Quran that was stolen from the Bible.
Right. I get that, but they're saying that he couldn't get a job.
Yeah, because they blackballed him.
So that's what I'm asking. It was like the university or whatever he did this were they Islamic?
No, I don't know, but Islamic have connections.
I'm gonna look into that. Yeah, I'm gonna look into that. I'm curious about it.
You have to get into welfare. They blackballed him.
Yeah. We're gonna have to
It's
look
the
at that.
principalities. You
Of
got to
course.
understand what you're looking at. It's the principalities. It's Satan, darkness.
No. We know that, but like in spiritual, yeah. But I'm gonna grab this. I'm gonna look him up. I want to know, was the principality Islamic in nature? You see what I'm saying? That's my question. But I agree.
I don't think so. I think it's bigger than what you can imagine.
I see what you're saying.
Because see, before I was into, and my mom can contest, before I was a follower of Christ, I did my homework on things like the world and the governments and who's really running things. And there's a lot of families that are in Switzerland, actually.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Germany. And
yeah.
I bet you it leads to that. I bet you. And see, that's where they say Lucifer's house is. The house of Lucifer. So
yeah, I'm gonna look into that. To see if
Sam Shimon. That's who I was talking about. Sam Shimon.
Oh yeah.
He goes head to head on a lot of.
He's in deep water right now, though.
I heard that.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep going. It's almost done. We'll get into it. 3 more minutes. 5 more minutes.
1998, I said, could I see your doctorate? I took it back to England and I got it from Germany and put it into English. Now remember, when he writes, one sentence is 400 words long. That's how the academics do it in Germany.
Yes.
We had to bring it down so people could manage it.
Yes.
We got it written in English. They would not publish it there in Germany, so that he had to get it published in India. But because of that, there you can see it right there. The challenge to Islam for Reformation. Don't read that. You should read the small print. He then was resurrected because it was all over the English-speaking world, and he died a happy man in 2014. Now, Dr. Christoph Luxemburg decided to go one step further. He's also a German, but that's not his real name, because he will be killed for what he has found. He decided to do what Gunther Luling did, but he decided to look at the dark passages. 25% of the Quran no one understands. Not even the scholars understand it. A quarter of the Quran, even the scholars don't understand. Did you know that?
No.
Can you understand the whole Bible?
Yeah.
Certainly you can. When Jack Hibb gets up here, does he open the Bible? Please say yes. Does he read it? Please say yes.
Yeah.
Does he unpack it for you? And does he apply it to your lives? Why? Because you can understand every word of it. And you can understand it in English, right? Thank God for our Bible. But see, you can't do that with the Quran. You can't do that with the Quran. You can't understand these 25. So what are you going to do? Well, he decided to do what Gunther Luling did, and he took and went to every one of those passages, and he went through 7 layers. I won't go and unpack each one of them. He went through 7 layers,
textual analysis.
taking off the vowels, taking off the dots, looking at the lexicons, looking and seeing if you could find any Arabic words. You couldn't find any there, so he went to Syriac, put the dots back in, put the vowels in, and he went to the lexicons in Syriac, and guess what you could find? He could reproduce all the 25%. All the dark passages he was able to reproduce. But what did he find? Once he took the Arab Quran and put it to its Aramaic roots.
Aramaic, right there. See? I said that the other day. I don't know if y'all caught it. Jesus spoke Aramaic. That's what when we were talking about Yeshua HaMashiach and all that. And I said he spoke Aramaic, written in Hebrew. What you talking about? Let's keep going.
All the dark passages were Christian lectionaries, Christian homilies, and Christian hymns. Every lectionary, homily, hymn was about Jesus Christ.
It's Jesus.
It had nothing to do with what they found, but who they found.
Ooh, get cut.
Folks, there are 4 textual evolutions. I'm not going to go with them tonight, but can you see what we're doing? I want to ask the same question of the Quran and come to the same conclusion. Remember I said at the very beginning, the Muslims have 4 things that they demand of the Quran. It must be eternal. It must be sent down. It must be complete and unchanged. I think we shut that down tonight, have we not?
Yes.
And we would not say the same thing about our Word of God, the Bible.
No, we don't make that claim.
But hold on a minute. Is the Bible the only Word of God we have? Don't we have someone who's also called the Word of God, the Logos?
Made flesh.
Jesus Christ?
Yes, sir.
Let's apply those four to him. Is Jesus Christ eternal?
Oh, get cut.
Number one. Was Jesus Christ sent down? Yes. Number two. Is Jesus complete? Yes. Number three. Is Jesus unchanged? Absolutely. Everything the Muslims need, we've got.
Wow.
Thus, the four criteria Muslims are looking for in their Quran as their primary revelation, we already have in Jesus Christ, our primary revelation.
Yes.
Folks, we need to bring them home to a much greater and a better revelation. And what's his name? Jesus. What's his name? Jesus. Oh, I love it. What a name. Let's pray.
Yo. That was amazing. That was good. That was real good. You're gonna see this other one though. We gotta show the other one too, because he backs it up like that. The other one that he goes with. The other one that I was telling you. You know which one I'm talking about though, Steve. What were you saying though, brother Steve, earlier?
I don't know. Well,
there was something earlier. Like, let's wait on that.
I can't remember. Oh, about Catholicism.